There we go.
Someone's got some beautiful music on. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Triple
What
Threat
is that
cast.
music?
It's definitely him. It's him.
Incredible.
Is that definitely Josh? Are you playing some music?
Jeez, not me. Like, I can't do
Not
that.
me.
Where's that coming from?
It's not literally me. I can hear it as well from my headset. It's not me. Like, I mute my mic and sing.
Wait, let me mute mine. That is weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I said, oh my god.
It's
Also,
Josh.
by the way, just a few welcomes in. Welcome into Alex. Hope you're having a good one, mate. And welcome into Curtis the True Jack as well. Hope you're having a good one. We're going to start this in a minute whenever we
It's
find
not
out
me.
who this is. It's not me.
It's
Not me.
It's literally not me. Like, I can promise you that.
It was me, actually. Found it.
There we go.
You know what it was? It was the rock music from. I actually clicked the rock music from the background noise by accident, so we'll do that as a new twist. Good
Excellent.
evening, good evening to a chaotic World of Football podcast. It's my fault. See, it's what happens when you wear a shirt in blue. Sometimes it can really affect you. It's a new concept of the World of Football podcast. It's a triple threat host of all your original hosts. It's me, Josh, Nathan. Of course, we don't have Doug here, but it's a shame. But if he was here, it would be a quadruple cast. It would be a fatal four-way in wrestling terms. But this is a big one, and only when my headphones are actually connected will I do a head banging. But we have a big show tonight, guys. It's good to see you. We've all got our chats linked as well, so you can watch it on my channel, which is Devil's Rising, which you can find here. You can find on Josh's channel, or you can find on Nathan's channel, which is right here as well from my channel, the banner as well. So any channel of your choice,
Happy days.
get in there, have a laugh. There's currently 9 people watching on Nathan's channel, and then the rest are spread across, which is fine. So we've got a big show tonight, lads. But how are we all?
Go, Josh.
Very tired. Very, very tired. I had a very long shift at work, so, you know, I'm definitely not 100%, but I'm here, even if it's not for the full show, and I'm quite glad to be here, so, yeah.
You will be.
I definitely won't be.
You will be.
No, I cannot last that long. Probably in all our talks. But yeah, so Friday a big interesting weekend. I think a lot of results will be decided from league titles to relegation. So yeah, I hope to get through it all here. I'm very intrigued to talk about a big subject regarding Nathan and obviously a big subject regarding AC Milan.
Yeah, they will definitely be coming up tonight. Nathan, yourself, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thanks, Reese. Welcome on and to everyone on my channel once again who's joined us. We've got quite a decent contingent that's come in tonight. Fair play with like 5 minutes. 5 minutes notice, which is absolutely banging. Welcome in, Baptiste Ben. What do you think of having for West County qualifying for Europa Conference League? Ridiculous, considering they were literally in the second division a few years ago. Like the Welsh League has offered up some mad stuff, hasn't it, recently? But yeah, this is a genius idea with what we've done. We've got a lot to get through, and I got to be honest, I am so glad that the season is over. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think for most people, those exact words are shared sentiment with you, my friend. Completely shared sentiment. Well, it's only obvious that, lads, that we start with the. Actually, we're going to have a whip round. We're not going to decide the first topic. We're going to let the live chats decide. It's either going to be the Premier League review, Cardiff suing Nantes, and Nathan's rant, the European review, which will include the Champions League, Europa, the Conference League. AC Milan disappoint me like they always do. Well, they don't always, but they have recently. The SPFL, so I can slag off Celtic. But it's up to the live chat. We'll let the live chat decide. So get your comments in, guys, whichever one you'd like, and then we'll take it from there. Most comments in the next 2 minutes decides it. It's already over. It's decided.
There
We're
we go.
starting. we're starting with Cardiff. Right, I've seen the tweet today. So I from what I've seen, it's 110 million that Cardiff is suing Nantes for. As we know, that's over the charges over Emiliano Salas. Obviously, the player who tragically passed away over a dodgy aircraft going down. He died on impact. Very questionable. Obviously, this is obviously deep-rooted. Cardiff is deep-rooted Nantes as well. The fans, not their owners. Their owners have been quite questionable how they've conducted themselves. But Nathan, obviously, as the Cardiff fan, you'll have more scope on this. But consistently, you've spoken about debt for Cardiff. Obviously, well over 100 million.
Mm-hmm.
It's 110 million euros. So you're looking about 98 million pounds, something like that. There's a big chunk of your debt gone if you manage to succeed this, but we already know what you're going to say. So Nathan, take it away.
At the end of this is my thought on it, and a lot of Cardiff fans may agree, but they may disagree. But I'm taking quite a nuanced opinion with it.
Mm-hmm.
There are many people that need to be sued in this case, but the fact now that it has gone on for nearly 5 years is absolutely disgusting. And the way that the club, after having that another appeal rejected against paying the transfer fee, and now pushing to sue even further is absolutely disgusting. Like, at the end of the day, Nantes needs to be, well, they do in a way need to be held accountable for it. In particular, not the club directly, but the agents they were dealing with. Those are the main people that need to be held account for. Not
Agreed.
so much their hierarchy, because at the end of the day, they're not really involved with the club. It's those certain individuals that need to be sued. But the way this has been conducted is just absolutely absurd. Like, at the end of the day, how on earth are you suing for 110 million? Like, you pretty much go for this guy saying, oh, let's just sue to high heaven and then see where we go from there. Because at the end of the day, when you go in extremely high, there's so much of a nothingness that you're going to get nothing. Like,
That's a good comment. That's a good comment that's coming from Connor. This feels really disrespectful to the player's family. If Cardiff never paid none for the player, then what is it need for Cardiff to pay anything? It's money that Cardiff doesn't have as well. Cardiff can't pay that transfer fee.
We all know that. At the end of the day, why would we be under free transfer embargoes? We've got 2 to go now, which the club claimed, Mehmet Dalman claimed that we didn't have.
Exactly.
Fully documented that we have it. So that's a first lie. And then straight up after that, like, at the end of the day, they're basing it off the damages that we would have had if we would have stayed up. Then they're claiming that if Salah would have played and played all these matches, he would have kept us up. But
Agreed.
Look at it from this perspective. I have 2 on it, actually. A, what would have happened? First game of the season, Salah plays in the match, tears his ACL.
Exactly.
Second, the real reason we were relegated, and in fact, these are the people we should be suing, is the Premier League. And everyone knows the exact reason why. Let me get the image up. Because everyone knows about this. And this is the true reason why we got relegated. Just give me a second, guys.
That's another good comment as well. Only change of hands money-wise should be the people who lost a brother, son, cousin, grandchild, etc. To ignorance and the poor aircraft supplies to flying to England.
Exactly, which was arranged by his agent, who has been criminally charged. So has the person who has arranged the flight. And at the end of the day, this is the people you should be suing. You don't just go and sue Nantes. Yes, at the end of the day, there is some liability there, and that needs to be looked at. But
yep,
the thing with paying the transfer fee, and I've always said this, and I've been consistent about this, you pay your debt, and then you fight to get it back. You don't not pay, and then not pay, fight it in the courts, and then your debt goes up, and then you look like an absolute idiot when you lose the case, and you're found to lose the case, which Cardiff absolutely will.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That.
Absolutely, some good comments coming in. Obviously, I can see Nathan and Josh's live chat. So Beefy's coming saying number 1 player doesn't make a difference in the team. Julio, good to see you, mate. I do wonder if it's just Tan wanting money. He knows he's losing money fast, given Cardiff and given the inevitable relegation. I've got the image. I'll share it in just a second. He's using it to get some money for a loss if he can, sick but possible, 100%. Any money lost should be for the family, nothing between the 2 clubs. Another very good point. Curtis the Jack. Good to see you, mate. Also watching from Nathan's channel, rivalries aside, this is absolutely shocking stuff. no arguments. And last comment before we show this image, then that should be the end of it. Sue the agent, and people tried to save money on a flight at the risk of human life. Nantes doesn't owe Cardiff shit because Cardiff never paid any money. 50 million, I believe the transfer fee was, or was it 50 million euros? It was one to two. Either way, you can't afford it.
As everyone knows, I like to take it. This is the reason why we got relegated over anything, Salah or not. This is what we should be suing for. And the rest of the decisions in that match.
So let's see. This is Cardiff City versus
Chelsea.
Oh, shite and sugar then.
Exactly.
You just got to decide which side you're on. But no, when you look at it as well, like it was quite a long time ago as well. But hey ho, don't blame Nantes because you fucked over your own club. Take responsibility and set your debt like a man. Vincent Tan doesn't know what that means. The problem is with paying the debt and fighting for it back, they go in the case from a position of weakness, and no one wants to do that right or wrong. And it's classic VAR.
Well, that wasn't even VAR. That was lack of VAR. But at the end of the day, the perspective I would like to sort of take against Young Talking Smack, like I have to look at it from both sides. At the end of the day, our fans as well are being punished for another man's actions at the club. Like, it should be towards Tan, and the hierarchy should be punished, not over the football club. Because at the end of the day, look at what the fans have been through. Look at the state of the club that is in now because of some extremely poor management of it. And we're going to get on to some even more absurdities in a minute away from this, but
that's a great question.
That is a very good question.
Josh, what's your thoughts on that question from Beefy?
I think everyone's kind of hit the nail on the mark where they've said, I think Vincent Tan is desperate for money and he's going to use any sort of sneaky way he can to get any sort of money into the club. I think he also realizes, Cardiff City are in such a bad financial state, and because of how bad financially they are, it means he has to spend the money, which means it kind of burns a hole in his pocket because, no matter how interested or disinterested you are in a football club, you still have to pay wages, you still have to pay for football players, you still have to pay to keep the business running, no matter how bad it is, no matter how good it is. So either way, Vincent Tan has to spend a lot of money, over the summer to try and keep Cardiff City running because he knows if they get relegated, the amount of money that he has to pay in relegation fees is ridiculous. People don't understand how big, how much money clubs have to pay for relegation. As Southampton are also kind of in a similar boat with their owners as well, with their relegation officially confirmed. So, I think this whole Suing thing is awful. I think the fact that this has gone on for 5 years over his life is ridiculous, and I think a lot of the reports make it out of Cardiff City not paying this and that, but we have to remember there was so much that went on outside of the two football clubs' hands between the aircraft, the pilot who wasn't fully trained, the fact that they travelled over bad weather, bad radio communications, the fact that the airplane was dodgy in the first place. There's so much that was outside of the club's interest that I think it's like all of that slid. It's like a lot of people who arranged this travel have kind of got away with it. On the end of the day, it's just these two clubs that seem to be getting all the beef. And I think Cardiff City handling the whole of this has been completely wrong. Cardiff City are dragging this out. They're turning the PR really, really badly. And at the end of the day, it's making them look worse. And I don't know how a situation like this has been blown out of proportion, and it just feel like it's just never ending. At the end of the day, get it sorted. Cardiff City have their transfer embargoes. That's not going to change. Nantes just need to accept they're probably not going to get the money for it because Cardiff physically can't afford it, and just move on because there's going to be no real fair solution to this. At the end of the day, someone lost their life, and we should not be. Someone lost their life, and we should not be contenders in over 5 or 6 years, 7 years over this money, because at the end of the day, money means nothing when you lose a life.
Absolutely. Just going to put this in as well. Connor said, Nathan, my heart goes out to you and the Cardiff fans. No reason this club and its fans deserved what's happened to them. Absolutely. Hoping you turn it around and come back to the Prem as your club deserves.
That's not happened for a long time.
Absolutely. Hulu says, end of the day, a family has lost a son, just exactly what Connor said. That's completely spot on. They weren't their fault, and it's insulting to his memory. Should not be held responsible for not booking the...
This is what they're being sued for.
it's that flight. I think
But
it's such a
to
it's such a
100
difficult call.
million.
To be fair, no, because when a transfer takes place, it's up to the player. It's up to the player and the player's agent to arrange the travel. The travel is not arranged by the football
Yeah.
club.
However, this is the one thing, and in fact, one of the very minuscule things that I will actually back Cardiff City on is that they said that Salah had to take a commercial flight. His agent, Willie McKay, shocking person, said no.
Yep.
Well, it's
Exactly.
not Nantes' fault. That's what I'm saying. It's not Nantes' fault in this case. No, Nantes should not be held responsible. It's not up to the club. It's not up to the club or the players leaving from to arrange travel. The travel is arranged from the player, from the club they're joining, or from their agent. And in this case, it was the agent. So Cardiff City are not responsible. Salah is a little bit responsible for maybe not taking Cardiff
I
City.
disagree because he didn't want to take the flight.
Well, if he didn't want to take the flight, then that was his choice. But then, but Nantes are not responsible to basically answer the question. If the agent arranged a dodgy flight, then he is massively responsible. And he should probably be sued if anything.
I think it's reasonable for a club to arrange travel, especially if it's a player of their own that's actually moving on. But it comes down to if they're actually going to do it. It's questionable.
Exactly.
I don't think you can force it, but it's something that should be in question. There was actually a comment that came in, and we actually are going to come to this as well. Is this? If we don't keep Sabri, then who would you like to see in? Now, I know obviously that's something you spoke about in our group chat earlier on, mate. So, what you thinking?
So essentially, what's happened is Vincent Tan has actually flown over. Well, originally he flown over to Europe because it looks like he's going to sell KV Kortrijk. If anyone's wondering, they're a Belgian First Division team, traditionally in the top half of the league since he come in, but they just skimmed relegation, and that club has been mismanaged to fortune as well. Because Tan's now down to his last 3 clubs. He also owns them and Sarajevo, who are pretty much the biggest club in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Didn't get European football, I don't think, this season. And they would win the title all the time. So that just says it all. So their fans are really trying to force Tan out as well. And I believe one of their general managers actually had left his post and said that Tan was one of the most unreasonable people to work with.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Now, that just says it all. So he was coming over to try and sort out that debacle. Then comes to Cardiff City. He doesn't fly into Cardiff. He goes to London. Everyone knows the exact reason for that. And he was going to meet Sabri Lamucci to discuss the new contract. Because as from what we're aware, and there's loads of different reports about this.
Absolutely.
But Sabri is plotting his plans for what he wants. His vision, he says, right, I want this, 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 and this. And then Tan obviously has to approve it and then offer him a contract.
Yeah.
It was reported that this was all going to be done by Sunday. And they would have made the decision. Last week, it was about 50-50 whether he was going to sign, because Tan wasn't going to give him a budget, and it was unclear whether he was going to let him do some of the things. In particular, one of the things is bringing his own coaching staff, implement philosophy, and do a load of other stuff. The fact that nothing's been announced yet is frightening. Yeah. And even with the reports that it is 50-50, then it's scary stuff, because Lamucci is basically heading into a war at the moment with a plastic spoon.
Or he's walking into a war with no army.
Exactly.
Or something like that. There are a couple of questions in there. Go around it. There is one question that's all round. So we'll start with Josh, and the question comes from Baptist Ben, and the question is: do you think refs are biased against Welsh teams?
I honestly don't watch enough. I don't watch enough. Welsh teams, to be honest, are catching fully. I'll probably have to let Nathan answer that one more. But what I would say is,
that'll be in correlation to the likes of Newport, Cardiff, Swansea, and Wrexham.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't watched any. I've watched a wee bit of Wrexham, but not a lot. I definitely haven't watched Newport or no Honk, and even not very much Cardiff either. When I have been on TV. I think what I would say, Lou, is the refereeing standard from the championship downwards is really, really bad. I feel like some of the younger refs coming through and the standard referee.
Could I just add, sorry to interrupt, Josh, that actually happened to us in 2010 with Ridsdale. We had a winding up order.
Yeah,
right and it also happened in 2005, 2006 as well. with Sam Hammam when he literally ran out of money and owed the tax man.
Bingo, Connor. Bingo. You were very close. Carry on, Connor. Sorry, carry on, Josh. Sorry.
No, I just think the stance of the refereeing is just really bad from the championship onwards. Like,
I agree.
I don't know if we're going to talk about it. I don't know if it's part of this conversation where we're going to be talking about the audio that was released from Hard Web about some of the VAR discussions over the course of the Premier League season, which was on Monday Night Football. I don't know if any of you have seen that.
We can definitely discuss that because I love to slate refs.
But for me, it was inside the refereeing works in the Premier League, and I don't think the refereeing in the Premier League. I think it's bad for some referees, but I don't think it is as bad.
Hang on, let me get the photo. I've done
I absolutely love this show as well. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite TV shows. Can't pay, take it away.
I've got to find this image now.
It's such a good laugh.
Go on, Josh.
I think we should in the background just for a quick moment we'll have a background noise to sum up our pain. So I'm going to turn it down just a little bit, but we're going to just epitomize our Nathan's pain is going to be summed up like this. But then again, he's into space.
Oh, God.
Sound effects, ladies and gentlemen, sound effects. But yeah, here's another one. Actually, there's a question that Beefy actually asked as well. It's obvious Cardiff are going to lose the case, but Nathan, you actually mentioned this before we actually went live. The agents. Should Cardiff have just decided to just go after the agents instead? Although, to be fair, the agents couldn't afford fuck all anyway, so...
That's probably why they haven't done it at the end of the day, because there's no guarantee that we'd be able to get payment, because we know that they probably... Oh, there it is. I found
it. What a question.
Disgusting. Actually, the worst one I've ever seen is Craig Pawson.
Oh
my God.
Well,
right.
To be fair, there's like
Kevin.
There's Kevin Clancy as well in Scotland, but we won't go there.
There's the photo.
Oh well, the fun and joys of Campo. Take it away. Starting Cardiff City. Oh,
now
we
that's
never
another
thought.
thing I'm worried about.
We never thought of that, gentlemen. Go on then, Josh. Will you take this one away? Should Nantes countersuit on the basis of frivolous accusations?
No, because at the end of that, the one thing that people really need to understand about the whole situation of 5 years, see the amount of money this whole thing cost both teams, from lawyers to money to time to representatives to getting evidence together. The amount of time and money this whole thing cost over the course of 5 years is awful. Cardiff City generally cannot financially keep on going with us, much longer. And not to, another club are going to get relegated, and French League and time they're not the team are going to go win French League. But again, financially they could give so much money towards their team and to the investment of the club, then and spending it on the amount of money that they would have to spend to do a counter-sue on something that isn't exactly 100% concrete or something that 100% when it's not really fully worth it. So they would save so much money on lawyer fees and trying to get the evidence and all that stuff together. So I honestly do not think that Nantes will go as far as counter-sue. I think Nantes just want us to be over. I said the amount of money for both clubs in the we'll save them money.
Oh my, that's comment of the night.
So far as actual peak. It's funny. Should Nantes and Cardiff team up to file against the agent to compensate the lost transfer fee for Nantes and the lost money and merch etc. for Cardiff?
I wouldn't say it was lost revenue from merch, to be honest, because at the end of the day, we'd still be getting that anyway. But
agreed.
I don't think that would ever happen either way, just because the relationship is completely broken down.
We already know. I take it Beefy's a Cardiff fan. Yeah, Beefy. We already know the amount of times Nathan says on the show, you don't have any budget. let's be real, like, no disrespect, but the only budget you've got is 50p and a bloody Freddo. Like,
Exactly.
I genuinely feel sorry for you. You are humped. Like, I genuinely feel sorry for you in that sense. Like, you are absolutely screwed. I hope you can find a way out of it. I hope you can somehow get somebody will come in and want to buy your club and try and change things around. But the way things are going, saying you're screwed would be an understatement.
Exactly.
It'd be a severe understatement and disrespect to say you're screwed.
Because the thing that I'm in particular worried about is Sabri actually going to sign the contract? Because that'll be the first one. Because it's already been reported that straight off, he wants to change the backroom staff completely, which has happened many a time. And B, he also wants to bring in 5 players straight away.
What a comment! What a comment! I like this guy.
It's not wrong.
I like this guy, Beefy. I like Beefy. Reminds me of Still Game. Beefy Bake. Gotta love my shows. Right, we'll move on for a little. Actually, no, we actually do have a guest for this one briefly, but he can actually have some insight. Brought Connor in because Connor can actually give some legal insight.
Here we go. Welcome.
Or legal point of view. Good to see you, mate. Live from
good to be here.
Live from the US of sleep.
Yeah, my legal brain's just kind of running. Because I'm on, so I've been dealing with attorneys all day, so I've been having to throw around a bunch of legal jargon. So this is like, oh, this is perfect. Give me something that's got to do with court.
Absolutely. So, what's your point of view on this one, then, mate? Like, if you had to think about like the whole situation with Cardiff and the whole,
I mean, the whole situation. It's when you think about it on a moral standpoint, it's just kind of a depressing thing to think about and a depressing thing to see. From a legal standpoint, this calls into question. I mean, all this is really going to do, and I kind of agree with what you guys are saying, there's no chance that Cardiff has legs to stand on to win this case. This is going to be something that's going to end up making Tan, the owner of Cardiff, just look really bad and look kind of disgusting as a human being, which I know Cardiff, Nathan, you'll agree with me, he already kind of looks like that. So this doesn't,
that's an understatement.
Yeah, this isn't going to change anything for you guys because you already think that. But, this is really going to show his true colors to those outside of Cardiff, because now you've not only, Cardiff is it's a Welsh town, so it's not really gotten a lot of news how bad it's been at Cardiff outside of maybe those in the Premier League or even just those that are in the same league with Cardiff that no one else has really heard about it. When you take it something like this where it's a suit against a French team, now it's like, all right, you've grabbed France's attention. You've grabbed the attention of a lot of teams that are in Ligue 1, which is the top league in France. This is going to get way more attention, especially on the situation. This might be, honestly, the first big break that is kind of in the little trickle down. This is the first trickle that might cause Tan to have to sell. Because now he's going to start getting pressure from those around. But if I'm Nantes, I'm getting that and laughing and being happy. Because in my mind, if I'm the owner of Nantes, I'm going, okay, he's just given me full, absolute power to countersue. And he knows, I think Nantes knows if they countersue, they win. There's no, because it's the basis of this is just frivolous accusations and a attempt of someone who doesn't have the money to pay off a debt that he can't or refuses to use his own money. So he wants to try and figure out a way. And that's why it's taken 5 years for him to do this. He's been trying to figure out a way for 5 years to get rid of this debt. And he goes, wait a second. Yeah. I can use suing the team that didn't give me a player that I wanted to get the money that I can use to pay off without paying any of my own. So
absolutely,
if I'm not, I think the only thing that stops him possibly is that if they countersue and they win, it's one of those situations where, and we see it all the time, with law, with cases like this, and just suing for civil money in general. A lot of times, suing someone for any amount of money can sometimes just be a waste of time if they don't have the money to pay it. If Tan truly is as broke as we hear and he doesn't have the money, then the main reason that they don't countersue is because they know even if they win, it's like, great, they have a piece of paper saying that they won, but they're not going to see any of the money because Tan doesn't have the money to pay them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's an interesting take on it. Beefy, you can message me. I mean, that's my socials are literally right there by the small defined print. Or if you want, just drop your question in the live chats. I can see Nathan's live chat directly from here. Connor, thanks for that great insight, mate. I really do appreciate it. I mean, especially from yourself, like a legal perspective, it's always good to have that sort of that in the hand. Ben saying I'm wide for Cardiff, mate. The only way we can get Kaba is if we offer 50p free shirt at Greg's Pizza, and I know him, he will sign the deal. There's so much on offer, there really is. Begs to differ, but it's such a massive tangent that it would. There's so much on a grand scale to say that it's hard to question. We'll move on though.
To lay it on the line just before we end,
Mhm.
want both of you guys' predictions. What do you think is going to happen between now and the end of the year with Cardiff? Because if I'm honest, I absolutely have no idea at this point. It's either going to be, well, disaster or disaster, but I don't know, which way it's going to go.
It really is. I'm honestly not sure. In the respect to things, I honestly haven't got a clue. Like I don't have a clue at all. Guys, these are the channels. Obviously, Nathan's channel and Josh's channel. Please go over there. Give them a little bit of viewing from their channel as well. It's always good to get some views on there and build things up. Cheers for having me on for a quick moment. No worries, mate. It's good to have you on. Can't message you on Twitter, bro. So I'll tweet to you. That's fine. I actually do have like comments in there. So if you want, like, even just come on the live chat and just whatever you want to ask, like if you want to ask anything football related, just ask straight away and I'll reply to you. He's already said that. I think they'll cover this suit will spell what the future holds for Cardiff. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
None of you can afford it. Let's be real. None of you.
Yeah, Tam wants 200 million for Cardiff, which will supposedly recoup what he's put into it. But everyone knows at the end of the day, no one's gonna pay 200 million for this mess.
Yeah. But there is a shitload to get on that sense. We are going to move on though, and time for some even more fun. Premier League. Premier League. The season's already over.
Yep.
Arsenal doing what they do best, bottling bigger than Tottenham, which is official. The league can be won. Great comment by Mark. Never trust a man who wears his trousers as high as Tan used to do it back in the day. Aye, that's
good point, First Minister.
Yeah, same thing that Simon Cowell does. Vincent Tan must like X Factor. Sad human. Right, so Man City have obviously went and they've pretty much wrapped up the league now. They can win the league at Josh's club officially this weekend, as Arsenal have all but bottled it. Brighton, of course, who beat Arsenal 3-0 at the weekend, shipped 6 goals to the team that, fun enough, Man City beat at the weekend. So all in all, it's quite clear. Never trust Arsenal in a title race. And it's 1-0 Liverpool. Fuck's sake. That's just not good.
Curtis Jones.
Yeah, what an absolute disgrace. Right, anyway. Looking at this now, generally, what are we thinking about the season as a whole, lads? Because if you think about it, right at the start of the season, I said that this would not be decided by over 95 points. And how funny is this? The most that the most that Man City can get is 94. And I called this at the start of the season. I'm an absolute god. It worked for a change. Obviously, Leicester are down, absolutely. Hell is just reminding that the Scousers scored. Yep. But yeah, 100%. Get what are we thinking, lads, about the season and in general, like. They've done the three-peat, which really annoys me even more. But they're now a step closer to a treble, which I hope never happens, but they are, unfortunately. But when you look at the season as well, Arsenal were top of the league for 94% of the season.
They were, and if I'm honest, I've said this before. I think this bottling by Arsenal is worse than the Gerrard slip.
You have indeed, and it's worse than any time that Tottenham have bottled anything.
Oh, absolutely. But the thing that everyone has to remember at the end of the day is the length of time that they were top of the league for. And the main reason that it's happened is they've run out of steam. They've been worked out. Look at the Brighton game.
Absolutely.
I agree with Nathan on that, except because Arteta's formation, personnel style, whatever you want to call it, from day one to now, it's been exactly the same. But mid-season there, Pep Guardiola changed his kind of formula. He played this 3-2-3-1 formation and started playing John Stones in the middle and started playing 3 at the back and all these Kevin De Bruyne and Gundogan and Bernardo Silva all on the same team. And since then, Manchester City has just been absolutely incredible. So yeah,
the thing I would Man City have been incredible, to be fair, but at the end of the day, Arsenal were consistent until April. Like, Man City could have been this dominant all the way through, but at the end of the day, they still wouldn't have got to the lengths that Arsenal did at the start of the season. But ultimately, like, what happens? Like, it all seemed to turn around on the 9th of April. Like, if we compare the teams, because they obviously beat Leeds 4-1, played the standard 4-3-3. What happens? Like, how can you go from that to that in such a short period of time? Team hasn't been changed. What's happened?
It can be mentally. Mentally they were worn out. Physically they could be worn out. It's also easy. It's also the opposite team you're playing to tactically refute the data and the information from that game before, and be able to focus your tactics in place to counteract it. I think there's loads. Like the injuries haven't helped, and the thing that's going to be a real issue for Arsenal. The thing that's going to be a real big issue for Arsenal next season, I think both of you will definitely agree with me on this. How are they going to cope in Europe next year? Because they don't have a big squad. We've clearly seen that their depth options when they've lost Zinchenko and they've lost Xhaka and they've lost Saliba. They clearly don't have the players anywhere near as good quality to come into the team and do a job. So how are Arsenal going to cope in the Champions League next season? Are they going to invest in the squad to get depth to be able to cover all these positions to a good standard, or are they not going to be able to cope, and are they just going to fall back off to a cliff and contest for top 4 next season? I think that's a very key point for Arsenal, because clearly the depth is not good, for them to cover those injuries, which is one reason why they fell off, like Saliba, for example. So the question is, the real question is, how will Arsenal cope with European football next year, and will they invest or have the depth to stay and fight for the league and contest in Europe, or will they fall off? And one of the two.
It's hard to say really what to expect of Arsenal next year, but all I'm going to say is they can't hide from this now. They physically cannot hide from it, because they've been in the top 2 all season. There is no hiding from this now. Next year, they cannot be excused for finishing outside the top 2 unless another team is completely better than them all season.
For example, I think the biggest example is if Newcastle have massively, heavily investment summer, even though their defence is somehow perfect. I mean, at the end of the day, who would have thought that Dan Burn would turn into one of the best defenders in the Premier League with Kieran Trippier? Champions League partnership. Like, it's just ridiculous. But even Man City could have another explosion. Man United could do something in the summer. Obviously, Pep had that when he had that first season. It was like a field in India, and then the second year, they were just ridiculous. Liverpool, even though it's unlikely, could come back around. Tottenham, you never know, could have something. You just don't know. Villa, another example. They could spend even more money and could actually finish in the top 4. I mean, they're meeting expectations now, but what if they exceeded expectations? There's a lot of factors you've got to take in there. If Arsenal aren't careful, then they could be sucked straight out of it. And at the end of the day, they have to be intelligent upstairs in order to make sure that something like this doesn't happen.
Here's an interesting question to both of you. How long do you think Arteta stays in the job? Nor can I, Josh.
Not happening.
I think Arteta has a lot. I think Arteta has all the time in the world. The only way I see him leave this job is if he was to get sacked, it would be if they were really where Chelsea are right now. For example, if they really fell off, or probably or they had a bad position, so they finished fifth next year, and then the fans force them out. I think Arteta is going to be in a job for a while. I know there's some fans, and there's one particular focal Arsenal fan on Twitter who is still Arteta, and I think you know who I'm talking about, Reece. I'm not going to name many names publicly on stream, but there's one particular Arsenal fan who is Arteta out every single time they draw or lose a game. I'm sure you know.
Wait, don't worry. We all know who. Don't worry, we all know who. And Beefy, yeah, no, I'm letting Nathan handle it. Nathan's my he's my wingman. Nathan will deal with it. Some good. What a question. It's Chelsea. Let's be real.
It's such a good question, but I think it's in two completely different ways.
Yeah,
it's definitely Chelsea for spending nearly 700 million and still finishing 10th or 11th.
I don't think so, because from Cardiff City, it's more off the field stuff. I don't think Cardiff City fans were expecting a miracle this season, but I think it's more the fact that
I wasn't expecting this. Well, everyone knows from my perspective, I said top half finish minimum, considering the turnover in the summer and the fact I backed Morrison so much, but it's
off the field.
It's the off the field problems, isn't it?
For me, it's Chelsea, simply because if you're talking about a season, for me, a season's what happens on the football pitch, across the season, and that's Chelsea. Chelsea just haven't performed on the season. Cardiff City, yes, on the pitch they haven't been great, but at least towards the end of the season, they got themselves safe, and then they survived it. But this off the field stuff's going to continue on over the summer into the new season.
Yeah.
So
I add as well,
think in context
with us, if Reading hadn't had the points deduction, we would have gone down.
Which is what's scary.
That's another thing that gets overlooked massively. But this
I think at the end of the day, Cardiff fans don't want to think about that, because that's just a scary reality fact. You would be playing league football, so you don't want to be thinking about that.
Good choices. Good choices. I also include another one. I include Celtic bottling the league in 2010-11. Walter Smith's last season as a manager. Celtic were 10 points clear and bottled in the last game of the season when Rangers won 5-1 at Kilmarnock.
True.
I mean, that's another personal favourite of mine.
Interesting. But yeah, for me, it's all about the summer. When it comes if we go back to Arsenal, because when was the last? Well, Arsenal haven't had proper European football for years. Yes, they've had hints in the Europa League. They haven't been in Conference League yet, out of Europe, but they haven't been in the Champions League for, I think, a good 5-6 years now. So it's good, and that's a bigger kettle of fish than it is with the Europa League. So it's really just, can they adapt well? They need to squad depth in. But
the Champions League is so much more difficult too, because you don't go into every single tie thinking, right, you're the favourites, you're going to win this. You can in Europa League, or obviously the Conference League as well, you can make easily 5-6 changes to your team, even though the quality's not great, that you're replacing your main starting team with, and you can still win 3-4 goals easily. The Champions League, no matter if it's a team from the Turkish league, like Istanbul, or a team from County Sheriff, who were who obviously picked up an amazing result at the Bernabeu in their first season in the Champions League. You just cannot underestimate the Champions League. The Champions League is such a unique competition. You have to change your mentality, your tactics, your style, your understanding for it completely. So, yeah, Arsenal are going to be up against it next season, trying to handle Premier League, FA Cup, and the Champions League. And I honestly think that my early prediction, no matter what happens in the transfer window with United, Liverpool, and Chelsea and Arsenal, I also think City are going to run away with it again next season. I just can't see it. Chelsea are not going to be ready. Liverpool aren't going to invest enough, and I think Arsenal are just not going to be able to compete. I think City will run away with the league again next year. They're the only team for me right now who look like they're going to run away with the league next season. Every other team's either going to be able to cope or not quite ready.
They certainly have a lot to do, a lot to change. I think the fact that you've already confirmed your new manager will at least help Chelsea. Arsenal are just so questionable. But it still sums up that you're the game where City can win the league is against you guys.
Yeah,
I mean that.
they'll beat us 3-4-0. There's not a way. There's no hope in a way Frank Lampard's going to. There's no way Frank Lampard is going to the Etihad and get a result. It's not happening. It's a blast. It's just not happening.
Exactly.
That's a good point by Julio. Is everyone will be back next year? Liverpool and Chelsea won't be as far down as this season. No one knows what's going to happen with Spurs. No one knows what's going to happen with Spurs. To be fair,
Spurs will not be good next season. I think they're going to lose Harry Kane. I don't see a way that Spurs keep Harry Kane and you know, for the season. At the end of the day, there's no point keeping him for one season where he's going to be unhappy, where you're playing not Champions League football. You sell him and you get money for him. Spurs will not be a good team next year. And also the fact they've turned Nagelsmann down, it's just stupid. I don't know who their head coach is going. I don't know who their head coach is going to be next year, but it's going to be an average one. And
I think it'll be Xabi Alonso or Ruben Amorim.
Xabi Alonso would be a good job, but it's too early for him.
My thought with Spurs is because of some of the aspects they have in their squad, it's going to go either one of two ways. They're either going to do what Chelsea have done this season, completely plummet down the league, or they're going to actually float around top four and just be consistent. But at the end of the day, there's no guarantees with it.
The top four.
That's fairly true.
But it's just what happens with behind the scenes. There's such an unknown entity at the moment that you cannot tell.
The top four for me next season, early on, and my logic simply, I think it'll be City, Liverpool, United, and Chelsea. And the only reason why Chelsea are up there for me is Chelsea will have no European football to worry about next season, which, as we've seen with Arsenal, does make an absolute massive difference. And I think no European football for Chelsea next season, as long as Pochettino is as good as I'm hoping he will be, and the evidence proves he'll be in the Champions League. It will be in the Champions League places next season.
The thing I would like to ask as well, just to hint them in, is where would you place Newcastle within that lot?
I still don't know. You know what I mean? I think
Newcastle this season have started showing a lot of holes. If you get me, you've seen where they've been exposed in certain areas. The big thing for them is if they do finish in the top four, there is not a hope in hell they can cope. If we're saying Arsenal are going to struggle coping with Champions League football and the Premier League, Newcastle is lap and multiplied by 10. They're going to have to invest a shit ton of money to even get that squad to compete in the Champions League, never mind competing in both competitions. You know, for me next season, if they were in the Champions League, they would prioritise the Champions League as long as they're not getting in a relegation fight, which I don't think I just can't see them competing in the top four next season if they're in the
they are not ready. They are not ready for Europe. I don't care that they've got. I don't care that they've got. I don't care they've got Isak. I don't care they've got Bruno Guimaraes. I don't care they've got Saint-Maximin. I don't care that Almiron's having a great year. Like, I don't care that Nick Pope's having a good season. They've got Botman, all that. I honestly don't care. And they've got Kieran Trippier, who's a winner of La Liga with Atletico Madrid. They have done great all season. But when you actually think about it, I don't still think they're ready for the Champions League. I think they would massively struggle. I think they've done great all season, but they should be in the Europa League first. I'm not saying this because they don't deserve to be in the Champions League, but when you look at their squad in general, it's not giving you. It doesn't give you any sense of confidence. And one thing I don't like as well is the sense, and obviously this has come from United fans, so we are an elite club, but they're acting like they're an elite club. They're acting so elitist, and I'm like
they were.
I'm like, you need to chill.
That's the problem with them. But the thing I would like to twist it on with Newcastle is if there was a club outside the top six, and you've got to put that in quotation marks, they would be the most likely to invest, especially getting into Europe. And they
need their sponsorship though. They do need the sponsorship though as well to actually back up what they spend as well. We'll see if it's a legitimate one.
To be fair, and they have the infrastructure to do it, the fan base, and the investment.
I agree. Beefy, welcome to the stream, by the way. Welcome to the stream, Beefy.
All the top six will be investing. Top Bowley will invest in the team. He'll sell a lot of debt, he'll buy players in. Manchester United could be under Sir Jim Radcliffe at that time. He'll definitely invest in United. He'll invest in United quicker than Top Bowley. Probably
the question I'd like to ask
probably the smarter way too.
The thing I'd like to ask though about Josh is in particular with Todd Bowley, The only way I can see him being successful at Chelsea is if he does take a step back, because we all know we've already seen this. He is a massive control freak. He's having so much of a say over transfers. He's constantly.
You can tell he's committed, though. You can tell he's genuinely committed.
He is committed, but there's committed, then there's overly committed. I think he does need to. He needs to do what. I know I'm going back to him again, but he needs to do what the Newcastle owners are doing: getting involved, but not getting too involved. Having the support network around you, which he has developed, but he's ignoring at the same time.
I think a lot of people need to remember, though, last summer, he literally just bought the club as the summer transfer window begun. He had no choice but to kick out a lot of Abramovich's people, meaning he had to take over as the sporting director. Like, it was not the fact that he wanted to be a control freak. He kind of had to be, because the squad needed players, but he didn't have enough time to interview sporting directors and sporting people. That's why he had to step in and do the negotiations with Thomas Tuchel. That's why I think this transfer window, the likes of like Aubameyang, for example, and Cucurella, they were players that, to be honest, if we even had the new owners for 2-3 months where we had time to get people in, I think we never bought Aubameyang. I never think we actually bought Koulibaly, and I never think we would have bought Cucurella. I think the summer transfer window was rushed. When you,
I would like to twist it though, however, unfortunately, Josh. And what about January? Because if I'm honest, comparing a Graham Potter transfer window at Brighton, where yes, he does have the funds and he used the funds quite wisely-ish. And he also had the funds at Swansea as well. Like, that's the one thing I can't believe I'm praising for that. But at the end of the day, those signings, in particular, the likes of Enzo Fernandez, etc., they did not seem like Graham Potter signings. They weren't careful. They didn't fit his system. He didn't get in the players that he needed to strengthen, which we all know he would have. We knew he would have got a number 9 in, and he would have got one on a reasonable deal. So, was it the case of Potter being extremely greedy, or is it Todd Bowley taking over with maybe listening to his sporting director a little bit, but not too much, and going, right, you need him.
I think it was more the fact of I think Graham Potter wanted these guys, but I think it was more the fact that it made the dressing room too big. There's far too many players in this Chelsea squad at the moment. Frank Lampard even came out and said it publicly. There's just too many players to work with. I think Graham Potter wanted them people, but I think they've been rushed too much. Mudryk was rushed because Arsenal wanted him, so we wanted to beat Arsenal. We wanted to beat Arsenal to get Mudryk, which meant we had to pay a higher price. Enzo Fernandez was probably the same because he was a massively high target in a lot of people's windows in the summertime. So I think Graham Potter wanted him, but I don't think he would have wanted him in January. So I think the fact that he got him in January was pushed down his neck a wee bit, but I do think he wanted him, but maybe just not in January when he would have been pushed down their neck.
Nathan, you take exactly. Nathan, you take charge. I'm going to do a halftime change.
Awesome. Another thing that I would like to just sort of allude to. By the way, welcome in, Julio. Hope you're on a good one as well. Just before I can quickly add through, in hindsight now, was sacking Graham Potter a good decision? Because at the end of the day, if you're having the infrastructure of him behind the scenes coming in, especially after January, then was it the case of pushing the panic button way too early, or was it the fact that he needed to go straight away and panic into getting Frank Lampard in, or is it just in general a bad appointment and he was out of his depth? Because if I'm honest, I don't think he was, and I think he was comfortable in that position. There was just no patience from him.
I think this kind of top ball, he was pure panic. I think this is where his lack of experience and his lack of football knowledge came into play, where he basically seen the fans were turning on Graham Potter and basically said, right, I need to sack him here. I think if he sat back and maybe took a bit more advice, I would have personally just kept Graham Potter until the end of the season. If there really was no progression, then he sacked him and then you take it from there. I didn't understand the logic of sacking Graham Potter and bringing in Frank Lampard, who, yes, Frank Lampard may be a legend of the club and the fans have always liked Frank Lampard, but tactically as a manager, he's dreadful. He's managed Chelsea and he's been tactically outdone. Even at Bournemouth, we were very lucky to get away with a win there. So I think it was the wrong decision to bring Frank Lampard in. It didn't help the players because it didn't have the players there. wanted him sacked in the first place, such as Hakim Ziyech and Christian Pulisic and Kepa and all of that stuff. So I think that was the inexperience. I would have kept Graham Potter, and I feel like he made a bit of a rash decision there. I think Graham Potter would have been sacked at the end of the season even if he did stay, but sacking Graham Potter to bring in Frank Lampard just never really made any sense. No, if you were going to really, if you really sat there saying, all right, we're going to bring in Frank Lampard for Graham Potter, then I really would have disagreed with that decision at the time. But I think he is committed. He's going to make mistakes along the way. He's trying to get things right. So I regarded Romelu Lukaku. He'll be back in pre-season. Will he be the starting striker next season? I do not know. That really depends on the window and Pochettino. But he'll be back with us in pre-season and he'll play pre-season games with us. I'm certain about that.
Julia, what's your thoughts on this?
Firstly, good evening, all of you. It's good to be back. Yeah, I think firstly, in terms of Graham Potter getting sacked, I actually think it was the right decision because the reports come out of how he'd lost. It was almost like he'd lost the dressing room, not just because not because they hated him for any reason, but almost like he didn't have the respect of that dressing room. You know, you think of Chelsea managers of the past in regards to I know this is not Chelsea of old in terms of the style of managers they're hiring, and it's shown. But all those managers came in with a certain aura for a big club, and I think David Moyes had the same problem at United, where there are some managers out there who are perfect for a certain level, and I think Graham Potter was way out of his depth at Chelsea. You hear the way people the way people talk about Pochettino, for example. Granted, like the likes of Adam Lallana didn't play at a particularly high level with him, but the way they talk about him with such an aura and such a presence, and he's already got some credibility in his Spurs job in terms of it's a similar kind of young team, bringing players through and settling everything, almost like a bit of a process job. I think that helps. I don't think the PSG job for Pochettino counts in terms of his CV because, like I've mentioned before with Reece and Nathan, PSG is a nutcase club for anyone who wants to go in and set up in a certain way. Whereas if you're a manager with a presence and an aura and you're all about man management, then that's the perfect place for you. In terms of So I think Pochettino was the right appointment. I think that there will be a fire sale in the summer. Too much. I think there will be a fire sale in the summer because Chelsea have always had a big squad, but now it's to the point where you've brought in so many players are going to go out the door. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Chelsea in the summer. It'll be very telling as to what happens. That's funny. I'll applaud that. In terms of, because also there are players out on loan that I reckon will get given an opportunity in pre-season. I remember pre-season, not last summer, the summer before, where I think Chelsea had 30 or so players. You're seeing the likes of Bakayoko in training with Thomas Tuchel. Now, obviously, Bakayoko...
He's shit.
But you see my point. That when you're getting loan players coming back, like the likes of Danny Drinkwater, Timo Bakayoko, training at Chelsea until they get their move, I think it's very telling how big and their squad is, and they've still got a lot of that. Some absolute dross out on loan. So, for example, I think he'll experiment with Lukaku. I think Lukaku is misprofiled. I think he's just I think the strength and the pace he's got are great attributes, but I just think he's a misprofiled fox in the box rather than a target man. I think he can be a good presence up top in some cases, but I think really if he sets up the right way, he'll. I think Barkley has actually gone permanently to Nice. I could be wrong on that one.
I'm not sure. We already know there's one lone player they're definitely losing this summer. I know that, and that's Dijon Sterling. He's coming up to Rangers on a free after his loan deal at Stoke finishes. He's going to Rangers on a free, which Barkley's is actually a very good move.
Nice, by the way, I've just checked. Barkley's Nice permanently free transfer. So I think with the new regime, it looks like it's going to be a bit easier for them to get rid of players in the sense of it wasn't my money I spent, so I'll just get rid of them how I see fit. I don't care about making money back because those transfers weren't mine. The interesting thing is obviously I don't think the players that came in were necessarily Graham Potter's, and I don't think Graham Potter is the kind of person to say, I don't want him. You know, I think it'll be a case of, well, I'm not going to say no to him exactly. He seems like a decent player. So I think Pochettino, the way it's taken so long, I think it's gone for what it's going to be like, how much backing there's going to be, how much time he's going to get. I think Pochettino will have looked into this. And to be honest with you, I think that if you give Pochettino and I've said it before with you guys, actually, if you give Pochettino and a competent board the keys to the castle financially, who knows where they could go. I think the likes of Madueke, Mudryk, all these younger players, I think would do excellent. I think obviously this, do you know what I mean? They're a goalkeeper, a holding midfielder, and a good quality striker away.
I think Lukaku could be. I think Lukaku could be their striker,
but obviously if they play to their
use
strengths.
Properly.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You really, all the play has to come from the wings and just find him in the box. We saw that in his first game last season against Arsenal, and then since then it's not really been the same.
Absolutely.
I think it was right for Potter to go. I do wonder if it was contractually where if they sacked Potter at the end of each season, it was a certain amount of money. So I think they thought to themselves, well, if we sack him mid-season, in the season he's joined, we might save a bit of money there.
They spent. It would have cost them, I think, 15 million to get rid of him, and he took about 5 million. So you can tell. Obviously, Beefy's been here for quite a while, and I want to get Beefy's comments. But before we do, I just want to sum up. This is what Chelsea are thinking right now. So I'm just going to mute you all, just because you can enjoy some serenity that is Chelsea Football Club. So I'm going to mute you all, and this is what I'm thinking. This is Chelsea. Just for everybody watching across all 3 channels, enjoy the serenity that is Chelsea. That was Chelsea. A little bit of shitty rock and roll. Right, guys, I'm taking these all off of mute. Right, let's get back to it. Beefy's dropped out, but he should be back. Let's see. What a comment by JJ. I've literally just seen it. Let me just quickly bring that comment up when my laptop decides. Todd is literally pulling a Glazer zero ball knowledge whatsoever. Get Beefy's comments in. Get Beefy's comments in just now. But Leicester looking like a relegated team. Yeah, they're good.
We'll get on to Leicester shortly because there's a massive section that we got to get on with the relegated sides, and in particular, if you don't mind starting now, guys.
Absolutely. I want to get Beefy's point of view first on the relegated clubs. What's your making of the likes of Southampton, especially? I mean, can't believe I actually thought they were going to stay up. I mean, I regret that now for defending them.
I mean, obviously, they were voice changer.
That is class. Sound effect. That's quite the sound effect. I think Josh is went off.
Wait, is there a voice changer?
I've got no idea. Even Andrew's laughing. Is that I'm so confused. I don't want to be offensive. Is that his actual voice, or is that sound effect? I'm just asking. No,
it's Vincent Tan in disguise.
It's the burner account. No.
he has a nice guy, to be fair. He did message us to come on. Like he seems nice, so I've got nothing against that.
I don't know if you can hear me or not. I don't know whether it's playing up.
I can hear you, but I don't know if it's just your. I don't know if it's your mic. Sean straight away, Nathan. I can't stand Cardiff. And Andrew, helium addict. Oh God. I can't take that. I'm about to batter Celtic, but this is even worse. Oh, Nathan's gonna fire back. I think Josh has actually went off though, but I'm very disappointed.
Yeah,
It's
no.
definitely a voice changer. He forgot to turn off in the options probably. I'll see if I can help.
We
Actually,
can
no, I
do
can't.
that.
I haven't got a clue what I'm doing, I can't lie.
Alvin and come on. Even Andrew said it. Alvin,
Andrew,
Simon,
that's
and
comment of the
Fiona.
night, man. That's comment of the night.
I can't. Can we please not bully him? All right. He actually messaged me. He first commented on my tweet, and then he's got the video. Oh. Well, for one,
I
That's a-
disagree, man.
I mean, to be fair, I like both, but we're not in that sort of discussion. But we could discuss that on Saturday, right? Someone try and fix his voice, not in a harsh way, but fix it, fix the sound before we all go hysterical. But oh, Beefy, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
By the way, this is for you, by the way, because you sound like Alvin from Alvin and the Chipmunks, right? Like, I do not want any offense
I mean,
here. This
unless
guy
it's
is
my
nice.
normal voice. I doubt that's my normal voice. But let me just quickly disconnect and see.
This is all over. Oh jeez, I can't. Let me
Here he
disconnect and
goes.
see. He's disconnected. I'm hoping it works, but all I'm gonna say is, can I just say, in the nicest way possible, he asked in the comments first on Nathan's
He
channel,
Mm.
can I message you? And I was like, yeah, no problem. So he tweeted me, then followed him back, and he's like, can I come on? Because I've met Nathan. I was like, no bother. He sent me a screenshot, by the way, proving he's messaged Nathan before. He's spoken to Nathan, saying that he's not random, he's not a mug. So I respect that. And then comes on, sits patiently and quietly for about 15, 20 minutes. Really, really cool. Really, really appreciative. And then he gives me an Alvin and the Chipmunks. I mean, I got to put the respect in. Send me who it is. We'll say yes or no. For what? No, that was beefy. That was beefy. Yeah, that's what it was. But that was just pure. That I just can't. Right. My mate Danny's in saying here the Chipmunks. Fuck's sake. Sean, Josh is still streaming from his, but it'll end once Josh's views are actually getting put up from my phone, and I'm also doing it from my laptop for Nathan. I've split my screens, so both lads. We are streaming from all three channels, by the way. My channel, Josh's channel, and Nathan's. We're doing it for the first time on the podcast. And we'll try it. No, I want to know who this guy is. It's literally that beefy bloke. He says he kens you. Beefy Beck. I just want to do that. Sean McGonigal, legend. Tan out. He's a disgrace. And Andrew's asking if Hell and Tanner's alright. So he is back. Let's see if we get the actual voice this time, or if we're going to get some voice change. No, it's voice changer Darth Vader and a high pitched helium
I was
voice note.
expecting something really deep. I can't lie to you. I was expecting
Honestly,
something
I've got a
really
clue
deep.
how this is happening.
It might be your mic, it might be faulty. Are you using a headset or are you using AirPods? Like, what are you using?
No, I'm using an actual microphone.
I would take it out. I don't think it's synced well. I would just take it out, yeah, and just use regular headphones or something. Because I do not want you to get mugged. I have to be kind. I do not want to mug you. Cardiff getting battered everywhere.
Oh, here we go.
It's all over for you. You know what's even better? There's now 15 people watching. It's pretty much all on your channel, mate. You're fucked. You are fucked, mate. Beefy Babes is known as Alvin. Oh, come on. Alvin! The Beefy Kid is on.
The register.
Don't.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I was getting the sound of it. And to be fair, I could tell because obviously family, so that's fine. He does seem nice though. I mean, they actually did reach out to me three times. He reached out to me 3 times, so I've got nothing against that in the nicest way possible. So I'm hoping we're going to get his voice. I really want to hear his actual voice. I don't want to hear the voice changer because you know what YouTube and you know what social media is like. It can go horribly wrong. So, Beefy, can we now hear you correctly? Are you okay? And whilst we're doing that, also agreed, and we've already discussed this earlier on, but I'll let Nathan just run it back. On you go, Nathan.
Just to sum it up, Andrew, you're probably going to like this one. No.
That's very true, but his mic is
Nathan,
doing
can I ask you something?
Yeah.
If Cardiff get relegated next season and Northampton stay up in League One, there's a good chance Cardiff will visit Northampton and play Northampton.
Exactly.
Big up, by the way, they got promoted. I'm so happy.
They did, yeah, fair play to Northampton.
Nathan would genuinely hate that. Like, no joke. Nathan would genuinely hate going to Northampton. He'd get killed.
Yeah. I hate going there as well.
Nathan would get killed. He has dropped out, but I'm thinking it's because his mic's disconnected to his.
Yeah.
I think he was going from his phone. I'm hoping when he comes back, it will connect in that way. But
I'm praying.
Nice. Seems to be a nice lad, the way he reached out to me. I've got nothing against that. He's back. Here we go. It's moment of truth time. Beefy, can we hear you loud and clear?
Maybe he's talking and just we can't hear it because of the mic.
I can't hear him at the now.
No, we're not hearing anything.
No, man.
Nah. Oh, damn. Worst away performance I saw is play. Nathan, see if you can try and help somehow, even just explain like the mic stuff, and maybe you can try and help. Nothing I can do.
Go into your computer settings and have a look at it. See if it's connected through the right means. Because sometimes mine used to connect to my webcam, which was just annoying. But yeah, that's probably the best way you can look at it.
I'm just actually putting that in the private chat right now, just so I can link. Because I really would like to get his conversation.
Yeah,
he did have something he wanted to talk about, and I'm all through that. You know me, I was given an opportunity just to enjoy talking about football. I'm doing the same for others as well.
Absolutely.
But there is 8 people watching. Right, it looks like we're gonna have to. Yep, we're sticking with that voice. Never mind, we're sticking with it. Yeah, Beefy. Hello, good to see you. How? Unfortunately, it's all we're stuck with, but we're gonna have to go with it. Don't worry. Welcome to the channel.
Right, sorry about that, boys. Yeah, thank you.
No,
very
it's
much.
okay. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you.
You're a Swansea fan, aren't you?
No, I'm a Cardiff fan.
Oh, even worse. Right, just kidding. Just kidding. I've got no issue with either club, to be fair. They have no effect on me. But there is something you like to talk about. I know, like, obviously, there's something you like to talk about, so I'm going to let you fire away. What is it you'd like to talk about?
It was obviously going back onto the Chelsea in the Premier League. Obviously they've scored 36 goals this season, the entirety of the Premier League, and they've played 35 games. Yeah, 35 games.
Yep.
Obviously going on that's like basically one goal every game. And they've also kept 10 clean sheets. The sacking of Potter, I think it was needed, obviously, because at early stages on, he was showing no effect. You know, he was winning games, but then he was just losing bigger chunks. So he would beat the likes of Bournemouth, Southampton, at all, and then.
Oh. I was actually there we go. I was actually trying to edit his mic settings from here, but keep going, Beefy. Keep going. See if I'm just trying to. He has got serious ball knowledge.
He does, yeah.
He does have serious ball knowledge. I'm trying to see if I can edit I'm just trying to see if I can edit your mic settings as much as I can from in here, but it's as much as I can. There we go. Stop disconnecting him, you fucking stupid StreamYard. Stop being a bully. StreamYard can get to fuck like the Celtic defence. This guy is at least more legible. Oh yes. Although I don't really discuss him, to be fair.
No, we don't discuss him.
Yeah, cheers, Ken.
Fair enough, Ken. I do appreciate that. Thank you. I was actually trying to help with his mic, by the way. Like, I was trying to see if I can edit it on the the system, like see if I can help, but it just wasn't letting me. So
Do you want me to
but
join the live room?
you can if
Maybe
you
easier,
want.
wouldn't it?
You can if you want, but to be fair, you're already bringing a great conversation anyway. So, and I'm
Yeah,
actually
that's all right.
enjoying it. But by all means, keep going. By the way, you're making some great points, especially the fact that you've already mentioned about goals per game already, like especially for Chelsea.
Yeah.
So keep going. Honestly,
Right.
keep going.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so like I was carrying on, they played 35 games, scored 36 goals. That's like one goal every game. And for Chelsea, signing the likes of Modric for 80 million, they've got Koulibaly in, they've got the likes of Cucurella, they took off Brighton. It's a bit shocking that they're only scoring, one per game, when they've got that amount of players.
Absolutely. No, I think that's a great point. Julio, what's your response to that? I think that was actually a fantastic point. To be fair, what's your point of view?
It was. I actually think that. I think I've said this to you gentlemen before. I reckon Todd saw City win it with no striker and went and thought, "We'll go do that," not realizing it's a lot harder than he thought. It sounds ridiculous, but given the stories that come out about Todd Bowley, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, we saw with the transfer strategy last summer was almost like Football Manager for FIFA career mode. He almost went for everyone that was getting linked in real life. Cucurella looked like he was going City. Oh no, we'll have him. Frankie de Jong links were there. Ronaldo wanted to move away, it looked like, so he was interested in that. So it seems that Todd Bowley's strategy last summer was, who are the top teams in for? Right, well, let's go get them. And then obviously he's brought in more players, more people in the boardroom, and he's almost asked, what good young players are out there? I can't decide which one. Okay, let's just buy all of them. That's almost what it looks like. I know that sounds very stupid and naive for me to say, and I hate thinking like that. But with Todd Bowley, it genuinely concerns me how accurate it could actually be. He's not above
Situation.
So, but I think you're getting Pochettino in who will know what he'll want. You're getting Pochettino in with a bit of a competent board. So I think that valid points were made, and I think it'll be very telling to see what will happen this summer.
Yeah, absolutely. And absolutely. Yes, it was an absolute baller of a goal. Like he's just quality. Right. Speaking of that, actually, we've already wrapped up the title race. Here's an interesting question for you lads, especially with there's only a couple of games to go. It's quite questionable how the season's going to end. But how are we thinking right now for the final into the top four? And also, who do you think completes the European places in order? I'm going to start with you, Nathan. So we'll exclude plastics and bottle jobs. We'll go from third to seventh for the European places. What do you think, Kim?
Right. Everyone knows it straight off. City have won the league. Arsenal in second. That's wrapped up. I mean, Arsenal can't drop out of second. As much as people would have wanted them to, just to make it more funny, that's not going to happen. So City and Arsenal first and second. Then it really depends on what Man United do from here. But I'm going to say Newcastle in third. Unfortunately for you, Reece, I think Liverpool are going to get Europe. I mean, is in Champions League. Then I'm going to go Man United Europa League, just because I do think they are slipping and there has been some inconsistencies there. Then sixth, I'm going to go Brighton. There is a chance they could still get into fifth position or even Champions League, which would just be a miracle. But
and Liverpool are 2-0 up as well.
That is very true. And the form that they've been on recently as well, with some of the goals they're scoring, is just mad. But yeah, I'm going to say Brighton are going to finish in sixth. And then I cannot face what Tottenham are doing at the moment. So I'm going to go Villa in seventh. Spurs just in eighth, with Brentford sneaking down their neck.
Absolutely. I'm just getting the current tables. I'm just going to exclude City and Arsenal, and I'm just going to go from. Well, Chelsea, they're just by default. I mean, they're just on
Exactly.
screen by default. But I'm just going to take this banner down for 1 second. There we go. When it wants to, come on. There we go. Thank you. First of all, I'm just going to reply to one little comment before I do anything else. No, I'm all right, thanks. I don't need any of that. Sunderland are clear. Newcastle can't stand them. No, Sunderland have more trophies.
I have a
Sunderland have more
sneaky
trophies than
suspicion.
Newcastle.
I have a sneaky suspicion it's going to be a Sunderland Middlesbrough playoff final.
Yeah.
Possibly.
The thing is, whoever goes up, bar Middlesbrough, it will be funny. Because you're looking at Kenilworth Road. Now, that's basically, you can add the Will Still memes in, you can add the Everton baby meme in, you can add them all in. Everyone knows about Luton. That'll be funny. Sunderland's getting double promoted will be revenge for them getting double relegated. However, them getting double relegated will be more memorable than them getting double promoted, which will still be mad. And then you obviously have Coventry, who pretty much didn't have a home stadium at the start of the year, which, no matter which way you look at it, is mad. But at the end of the day, it's weird because Luton-Sunderland was a fantastic game. There's no denying that. But Middlesbrough-Coventry was dreadful. Go to the Riverside. I do apologise, Coventry fans, but I think Middlesbrough are absolutely destroying you at home. And then I think they're going to take it into the playoff final. For me, whoever wins that Sunderland-Luton are very strong and likely to take it all the way to the Premier League. But at the end of the day, Andrew does have a good point there. Coventry are a good football inside. It's just the case of the consistency there and the mentality that they don't have and they haven't experienced, and the lack of depth as well, in case you get a major injury. For example, you lose Gyökeres, you're finished at the end of the day, and I don't think he is Premier League quality enough. I mean, Andrew, you should know Gyökeres well enough from Swansea, of course, from a few seasons ago. He could not score. Even though he did have the service, he was dreadful in front of goal. But that's another thing you got to say for Sheffield Wednesday. But if I'm honest, at the moment, it is heading for a Sunderland-Middlesbrough final. And I don't know why. I'd like to say Borough, but I think it's going to be Sunderland. But if Luton beats Sunderland, Luton are up. Because that's
interesting. Beefy, what's your opinion on that actually for the playoff place? What do you think?
So hopefully my voice is better now.
Spot on.
Yeah.
It does not sound like the voice changer. It must have just been your mic. It must have just been your mic affecting your system, maybe. But it's good to hear. It's good to hear your voice. It's good to hear your voice.
Yeah, thank you very much. So going on to the playoffs, obviously Sunderland had that massive win against Luton. That could obviously change when they go into the Luton Stadium. I reckon Luton are going to play around, and I reckon they're going to beat Sunderland and move on to the finals. On to Coventry and Middlesbrough. I think Middlesbrough will just about sneak the win from Chuba Akpom. Going on as well, then I think obviously the final then will be Luton and Middlesbrough. I would love to see Luton in the Prem with obviously the background stadium, but but I think Middlesbrough will glide past them like nothing. I reckon Akpom, Giles, and the likes of Akpom itself will just push Middlesbrough through, and I think Middlesbrough will get promoted.
The question I have for you, Beefy, as well, sorry to jump in there, Reese, is
on you go.
In particular, obviously we know Ryan Giles really well. However, do you think if Middlesbrough do end up getting promoted, or even if they don't, say for example they bottle it against Coventry, can you see him getting a lone Premier League move next season, or do you think he'll be in and around that Wolves team?
Now, obviously, I'm a Cardiff fan, so I watch a lot of the Championship matches.
Kenilworth Road, isn't it? Kenilworth Road.
It is.
Carry on, Beefy, carry on.
Going off this season, I think Ryan Giles earns to be at the likes of maybe Bournemouth, the likes of the low Premier League, such as like Kiefer Moore went to.
Yeah.
I think that'll boost his confidence a lot more as it's not on loan. Because obviously he was on loan to us last season, and now he's on loan to Middlesbrough this season. I think maybe even Wolves. No, he is at Wolves, isn't he?
Yeah,
he is at
he's
Wolves.
under contract.
I don't think he'll get into the first team with the likes of Semedo. They've got Kilman as well, so I don't think that he'll get into the first squad. So I think maybe a move to maybe Bournemouth, maybe Fulham.
Good to see you, Maze. It's good to see you. Hope you're doing okay.
If you want to come on, by the way, Maze, be our guest.
Absolutely. Anybody's welcome to come on. Like we're streaming all the way through. Having a good bit of fun.
That actually, before I put my question in, Julio, what's your thoughts?
On which bit?
Oh, sorry, apologies. On championship playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I want to bring attention to that Notts County comment because I was going
Yeah,
to bring
of
that
course.
up before he
Yeah.
started under a
That's
little
a great
bit.
comment.
Because I tweeted about it the weekend that regardless of whether they go up or not, Notts County will finish as champions pretty much every other year. But because that's why I think they have been more impressive than Wrexham this season, just because they don't have the same juice as Wrexham. That's not me hating on Wrexham. I love their story a little bit. They've been through hardships and they got celebrity owners who are actually trying to help the club. But I think that it shows that we need an extra promotion spot, an extra automatic promotion spot. You know, because imagine if, granted, when they brought the goalkeeper on, I had a feeling that that they would go on to win the shootout. And obviously he pulled off 2 excellent saves. He didn't like my tweet tagging him and saying, take a bow, son. So I was a bit upset that the goalkeeper didn't notice me, but we moved.
Certainly were, yeah.
But yeah,
certainly
moving back on topic.
That was a phenomenal game. I agree. I did manage to see the end of it.
I love seeing non-league football like that get more recognition, and I would love to see that happen more in the future. But back onto topic. Before the playoffs, I tweeted that I have a sneaky suspicion it's going to be a Sunderland Middlesbrough final. I want to point out that I've seen a lot of people on Twitter that aren't Sunderland fans and who didn't make the playoffs complain basically that this Sunderland aren't exactly rags to riches because they've apparently got a £40 million player in their team carrying them. And I want to put a stop to that right now because it's getting ridiculous the lack of research people are doing.
Exactly.
It's driving me insane. Amad Diallo was a £20 million young signing. The extra 20 million comes from add-ons that haven't been met. So he's not a £40 million player. Granted, it's not a miracle because they do still have some quality in there, I will admit. However, pretty much I think 5 of their main starting 11 or 8 or whatever were League One players last season. A lot of the players they've got in their squad were League One players last season who only made the playoffs. They've played without centre-backs for about a couple of months at one point. They've been bogged down with injuries. A bit of Ahmad Magic has taken them forward, granted. They lost their main striker, Ross Stewart, to a horrible injury earlier in the season, and they've been without him pretty much for half the season, I think it was. Mm-hmm. I think that's what triggered the Gelhardt loan signing. So I think it's still impressive that. Also, the fact was, it was a Millwall fan who I saw tweet this. You brought it on yourself when you were 3-1 up at half-time and you lost. And annoyingly, at half-time, I said to myself, watch Millwall throw this away. And Nathan, I'm pretty sure you've seen my tweet where I say championship final day is goated. I was watching. I had an exam. When was the championship final day? I had an exam
last Monday.
Next day. Yeah, I had an exam the next day. But I had on my setup 2 laptops and a TV, the championship final day, the Millwall game, and the.
She did say that just by cutting. Like Maze actually does stand by that. Curtis Jones. I actually think he's a decent player, even though he plays for Liverpool and
I
2 goals. I think he's actually a decent player, but he's played in the wrong position. But then again, he's playing for Liverpool, so I don't have to worry about that.
Exactly, and to add to Curtis Jones as well, look at Trent Alexander-Arnold, always wrong position.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
They are.
yes,
I was watching it.
Yes.
You got 3-1 up at half time to a Blackburn side who aren't going to get into it. And Blackburn almost said, nah, not on my watch. So thank you, Blackburn Rovers, for doing Sunderland a favour.
Literally, as we're discussing Trent, and apparently he's just scored. If he scored, then I'm going to be I'm going to be fuming.
Yeah, but I think
going. Oh, sorry. Go
I was
on,
just going
Julio.
to finish my point on the playoffs. I know
No,
I went
by
off
all
a
means,
bit-
keep going. Keep
I went
going.
off a
Keep
bit on
going.
the Ahmad point, but I'm getting sick to death, to be honest, of seeing people say, "Oh, Ahmad's 40 million." No, he's not. Do your research. I had someone argue with me on that, something about Arsenal.
He was
and their spending.
he was 20 million. Let's be real. Ahmad Diallo was 20 million from Atalanta when we signed him, but it includes 17 million pounds worth of add-ons. It's split over. It's 3 or 4 separate add-ons on his over his fee that will take it to 37. The most that we're going to spend on Ahmad Diallo alone, in my opinion, is 29 million. I'm just saying this now. Andrew, very interesting question. Anyone remember the Forest bottle job?
Is that 2020?
He's
that
brought
2020?
He's brought
Yes.
this one. Swansea under a 3.6 goal
remember
deficit.
They also
I
bottled it in
didn't
2010
watch.
and 2011 as well. If anyone has good memory on
I
that,
remember
they bottled it
2011, and then Swansea went on to win the playoffs.
correct.
You
And then
guys-
they also
you guys
bottled this
know me.
Blackpool as well.
Yeah, you guys know me. I'm not much of a I watch championship now and then, but I've never really been a championship watcher, so I can't. I'm not going to remember that. JJ said Ahmad's too good for the championship. I think it's too early. Excuse me. I think it's too early for United still want to go to a loan to bottom league Premier League team. I think he should go to Fulham.
I think he gets integrated actually next season. I know.
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
I agreed that Ahmad is too good for the championship almost, especially that Sunderland had just come up as well. But he needed game time. I think he only played like 9 games for us across 2 seasons, and the Rangers loan didn't exactly work out for him. So
he had a few poor performances. Yeah, he had a few poor performances for Rangers. Here's a question. I personally think he should go back out on loan. But if Sunderland get promoted, loan him back to Sunderland for the season. What do you think?
No. I worry that Sunderland get battered next season if they're in the Premier League, if they don't recruit properly.
Yeah, that was the follow-on to my next question, which I'll wait a little bit for. But yeah, that's...
Me too.
That's an
with the injuries we've had as well, with the injuries Northampton have had in the last few weeks, it's just they saw it over the line, thankfully.
They're the local side for you, Northampton Town, They're your local side, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, the question I'd like to go back to, which because in my opinion, this has probably been the weakest championship season ever in terms of the teams and the squad depths and also squad quality. The question I'd like to ask is, regardless of who's going to win the playoffs and also who, obviously Sheffield United and Burnley are up, out of the 3 teams that go up, do all 3 drop immediately? Or with the 3 that do drop from the Premier League, who gets at first time just because of the quality disparity with the window that is starting to open up? For me, Burnley are the outlier. And maybe whoever goes down in that 3rd relegation position, even Everton, I do think will struggle, however, or maybe a Leeds if they don't invest well. Are we going to have all 3 teams drop? Or are we... What are we going to see?
Well,
guys?
remember our show last week. Maisie was straight in the comments, and Maisie said it does not matter who's going up. All 3 are getting relegated.
No, I don't think so.
I think
someone
stays up. I think someone stays up.
So obviously Burnley and Sheffield United are going up. Out of the other 3, obviously there is a big transfer budget between the Championship and the Premier League. So obviously the clubs going up will have obviously a bigger budget to work with, and for all we could know, they could turn into this season's Fulham and become mid-table. But I think Sheffield United will be the one to stay up. I think Burnley, Middlesbrough will come down next season. I reckon Bournemouth will come down next season as well. As I mean, they are a little bit of a yo-yo club.
Second season syndrome.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think Sheffield United would just about miss out. Same as Nottingham Forest is this season.
Interesting. Yeah, for me, that what I would probably say is I'd have to agree with Maisie last week, but the only one I could see staying up is Burnley. And I don't. Lots of people are putting them 12th and 11th, which I think is absolutely insane. At the end of the day, playing pretty football gets you nowhere. Just look at down West Wales. That's all I will say on that one. But I think Burnley will survive by the skin of their teeth. I think they're going to be like Forest, to be honest. But Sheffield United, I'm going to say they are going to come down just because of Heckingbottom. I think he's going to implode. Ryan Brewster, well, everyone knows that the hype is completely gone for him. Remember the hype all those years ago as well? And I just think they're going to completely implode. Whoever goes up from the playoffs, the most likely will be Middlesbrough to stay up. Sunderland, I don't think they will have enough, providing they recruit well. Coventry just don't have the finances, unfortunately. And Luton, they have to moneyball it. So they have to invest like a Brentford or a Brighton just to get successful. Low budget, but smart recruitment, which I can't see. It'd be a fairy tale from stay up, but they have to nail it on with the free transfers. Whereas coming down, Southampton are quite extreme. In fact, dead certain to, if they get the managerial appointment right in the summer to go back up, I think they're in the best position out of the rest of them. Leicester, I think, are going to struggle if they do drop. Same with Everton. However, there is more of a chance that Everton will go up than Leicester, because Leicester are going to implode in the summer if they go down, to be honest, with their long-term contracts, players leaving.
They are absolutely,
in a mess.
They are absolutely fucked. I've listed a few in my opinion for Southampton. One of them, and I put especially in brackets if they keep them. But I look at the Southampton team. There's some good players to build around. The manager I thought they would get is now definitely out the running. I suggested Marcelo Bielsa, but he's now the Uruguay manager, so he's out. But I don't know. I think they might keep Ruben Shelish. Good question by Ravi. Thoughts how teams best manage players so they don't get burnt out and injured so frequently?
Full rotation.
Pretty much.
Some of the younger players,
Utilization more than rotation. They're almost different. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the case. I
do expect him to move on, Andrew. I do expect him to move on.
Yeah.
He'll be brilliant for anyone.
Another good question is Leeds. Where do we stand with them if they get relegated?
I hope they never come back.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Leeds.
Welcome to the club.
You're in. Nathan Teller, he is a Southampton player actually. He's on loan at Burnley still, I believe.
Yeah, he is.
Hopefully Leeds go bust. Same. I look at there's a lot of good players. I think two of the outstanding ones, well actually three of them is actually no, scrap that. 4, 5. There's a lot, but Teller's one of them. I like Sulemana, slightly more experienced, but as a winger, good option. I like, even though he's not overly consistent for numbers, I think Gineppo is actually a good winger. I think he's actually a decent winger, but he just doesn't have the output. Lianco and Bella Kotchap are good centre backs. You've got quite a variety of fullbacks, but I think the best one is probably Livramento for the right hand side. I do like Perrod. I think he's a decent player. Midfield, Aribo, if they can actually play him in a proper position, they can get the best out of him. I think striker, they have to go over.
Walker Peters a fullback as well. He's not a bad option either. I think there's some real quality down there. There's some real quality down there.
They need to play a single striker, in my opinion, and it needs to be Onuecha. Absolute freak of a player in terms of size and power.
At the end, been the 4-4-2. It's been proven this season that it hasn't worked. That's what he got updated. And at the end of the day,
sorry, you said bin 4-4. You said bin 4-4-2. You sound like every modern manager ever.
Maze is going to jump in and say, Maze is going to say, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, that's a good potential bounce back club. They've just got to decide their best formation. I think they've got to go all in, like a younger team with a good couple of experience. Onuecha is 28 years old, so there's an experienced striker. They still have some good pros at the club.
Yeah,
I think if they can have a good core foundation, I think the best case scenario for them is play Aribo as a 10, get a good midfield base, get two wide players that are actually going to attack from the front and want to get in behind and actually attack the fullbacks. I think they have to do a classic 4-2-3-1. I think they have to. It's best case scenario. The best football Southampton, funnily enough, ever played in the Prem was a 4-2-3-1 under two separate managers, Koeman and Pochettino.
And at the end of the players for it.
Alcaraz
Question
is another
as
good
well,
number 10.
to add to it, the big elephant in the room was James Ward-Prowse. Does he leave in the summer?
I think
Is
he's
the
going.
main
I think he will. Yeah.
I think he
100%.
stays. I don't
I
think
think he
he
might
will.
go.
I think he sticks around.
He's been told he can leave. He's been told he can. He's been told he can leave. He can either go. I think he'll either end at Villa or he'll end up at Tottenham. I think if he's smart, he goes to. I think if he's smart, I think he goes Spurs over Villa. Not because Villa are better than Spurs, but when I look at their team, I don't
They
think
lack
Villa need a Ward-Prowse. I don't think Villa need a
No, of
Ward-Prowse.
course they don't. No,
Because at the end of the day-
they've got the likes of Ramsey, Jacob Ramsey. You know, he's quite up and coming. Do they still have Coutinho? I'm not
Still
too
there.
sure if they.
They do,
I
he just
think.
doesn't play.
I think.
Yeah,
I
that's
think they'll
another
move
thing I
him
was
on.
going to link it to is, will he end up as another Coutinho there?
Yeah.
All the talent, but just doesn't work for him.
Very
Yeah,
true.
I don't think so.
Because at the end of the day, Ward-Prowse is a player that you build a team around. I'm going to go back to it. For example, is QPR in 2010 and 11. Obviously, Neil Warnock, we know him well. He built the success of that team around Adel Taarabt. But when the hierarchy got in and just started giving these expensive contracts, these high transfer fees to these big name players with massive egos, it just imploded because at the end of the day, it wasn't centered around Taarabt. It was centered around individuals around the pitch, which is what Southampton need to eliminate. Either build it around Ward-Prowse, or was it, who did you say it was again, Reese, that you recommended? But build it around that centre player and bin the 4-4-2, most
He said
importantly.
Villa or Spurs. He said. For
I
Ward-Prowse.
think Villa or
For a
Spurs
move.
for Ward-Prowse, yeah.
I
But
agree.
Andrew's saying Brighton, but I don't think he'll go Brighton, and this is why.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because they're going for
Dahoud is
Milner.
apparently linked as well.
Dahoud's
from
a quality.
Dortmund.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he's a good player. But
But the
They're
thing, that's
selling up
that's
for
another case
sales.
of Brighton's smart recruitment again with likes of Milner and also what you suggested, because at the end of the day, they're going to need the depth when they're in Europe next season. And this is the way they're going to be able to push on. But it's just,
I think it's so
you've got
hard. I think
geniuses
it's so hard.
upstairs in our club, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's so. I think it's so intriguing how they go. But for me, Southampton, they've got to go back to the system that actually done well for them in the league for quite a while. When they actually play good, attractive, high pressing football, they should just go back to the 4-2-3-1. Play a back four that is actually capable of playing a high line, but is capable of coming forward. Fullbacks can create. Two wingers that would get in behind, attack the fullbacks, spread them out. You got a striker who will attack the centre backs. You got a number 10 like Alcaraz or a Rebo, or even a Rebo drops into the 8 role beside a 6 they've got, and then Alcaraz can play in the 10. But they need a solid base, but it needs to be blended with experience and younger players, because they will need to attack teams from the off next year if they want to get back up.
The management, I think, is the biggest key.
I think actually you've got the likes of Edouze as well. He's another one. How they use him, I don't know if it's going to be Ruben Shellis though, but I think it would be very harsh to just sack him without giving him a chance. I don't know. That's just me. Milner's priceless experience and surely doing his coaching badges. I think so. I think so.
Because I think he'll become a coach there, to be honest. And then
Lallana wanted him in. It's Lallana that wanted him personally, and JJ's right. Southampton were all over the shop. Signed too many youngsters. Onoecha was the only experienced player they brought in. Aribo's
They brought in
Aribo's
Orsic
26,
as well.
but
they brought in Orsic. He's relatively experienced, and no one has
That
seen
was
him since January.
that was he's another player who could play 10 as well, or out wide. You could play him in a 10 role and still have two young wide players. It's a disgrace that they done this when they sacked him. Like, he's a good manager, but they really screwed it. Kane's coming in, most of Beefy's ball knowledge is from Google. Jeez. What? Beefy, you're getting the targets here. Get some defending going.
I mean, they're not the ones speaking to me, so...
Just get your number 9 attack, mate. Just get your number 9 attack back.
Exactly.
If they're not Cardiff fans, don't want nothing to do with them, mate.
That's a good point. To be fair, all the number 9s are avoiding you.
You're not wrong, but
to go back to it though, really, sorry, go on.
Going to an actual number 9. Because the likes of Blackpool, Wigan, and Reading has obviously been relegated from the Championship.
Yeah.
Do you think that the likes of Jerry Yates, do you reckon he'll move from Blackpool and want to go towards a Championship club, or do you reckon he'll stay at Blackpool?
That's a really good point. I think Yates is probably the biggest outlier with who's been, and even quite a few of the Reading players. Like, for me, there's a mass exodus out of Reading this summer, considering the state their finances in. Yeah, Lucas João is the main one. I think for some reason he's got Watford written all over him, or even potentially a Premier League club. I'd love Cardiff to go in for him, but at the end of the day, we all know that's situation. But I think he's the first out. There's a max exodus out of Reading, but Jerry Yates is the biggest one. For me, he's like a Preston or a Sunderland signing. I think he will depart Blackpool because they're going to, with the way that they've been doing business recently and the fact that they've been to Mick McCarthy so early, is that they're going to, I think they'll try and cash in on him while they can. If you can get 3 million for him, reinvest that wisely in League One, that will keep them towards the top of the table. But that Blackpool squad is just fitting for me. And Critchley did such a great job to get him into a sensible position at the start of the season, but just got greedy at the end of the day.
True. I'm just going to say, haven't got a clue who he is. Cardiff only got lucky because of the 6-point deduction for Ren. We all know that.
Yeah,
Nathan said that a few times. To be fair.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%. Right. Moving on.
Celtic
got beat. Happy days. And I want to say,
not happy days.
Not happy days.
I want to say this as well, by the way. Robbie McCrory has only ever played 4 games for Rangers. 2 of them are against Celtic. Rangers have won both games. He's not conceded a goal and he's only 21. Just saying, by the way. 4 games, 4 clean sheets.
What a trophy. You got your cup win this season. Congratulations. You won your trophy.
Oh, you know what's worse for you know what's
turned
bad
up for the old firm.
You know what's actually bad for Celtic though, by the way? They can't break the points record, by the way. They're going to possibly finish a point short.
Trophy for Rangers. You got 2 trophies. Congrats.
And also you actually won an Old Firm derby that I'm pretty sure takes place every other week as well.
To be fair, that one was impressive.
You had so many chances. You didn't.
Automatic Champions League football.
See, that's what happens when you play an out of shape goalkeeper and you play a striker that can't score a fucking goal in a derby. But again, that's all I had to talk about. To be fair, pretty much it's just a reminder that happened. But another thing as well, though, is next year it will be a whole lot better between these two, especially when they actually go for it in the summer. It's going to be very interesting how it goes. I expect it to be a lot closer next year. I do expect it to be a whole lot closer, but there is one league in question that
actually
does deserve to be spoken about.
Just remembered, I'd like to add something else with SPFL. Mm-hmm. Who's getting relegated?
Well, funny you should say that. I'll bring it up for you right now, and I'll let you make your own opinion.
Because I don't think it's going to be Ross County.
It definitely won't be, my friend. It definitely won't be.
I don't think it'll be Dundee either. Well, Dundee United. I know, Dundee fans. I've just cursed it. See what you just said, but.
Well, right now, Dundee United are 2 points behind Ross County, by the way, and Kilmarnock are out. Kilmarnock have escaped the playoff place. So I'm just going to share my screen for you now, actually. 1 second. And then we'll move on to Bundesliga very shortly, because obviously it's Bayern versus Leipzig next week, and Leipzig could actually determine the title. Mm-hmm. So here we go. Let me just take the... Come here, you fucking piece of shit. Come here. Get that banner off. Thank you. So that, we don't really need... First of all, I'm going to say this. I just want to respond to this one comment by JJ. Not a chance. We're not taking him back. Spookiest coincidence in football. That is a real spooky coincidence, actually, when you think about it. Yeah. Both of them against Wigan. That is spooky. But yeah, that is literally before the split. This is as it comes to the split. That's your top 6 currently. Obviously, Rangers and Celtic are top 2. There's the 4 teams that will complete the split, and then there's your bottom 6.
Can I ask, has the split already happened?
Yes, this is it literally now, because you've got
Okay.
Rangers' next 2 games are Hearts and Hibs.
Interesting.
Yep.
But yeah,
I hate the split, by the way. I think it's an absolute disgrace.
I mean, I won't lie to you. I haven't got a single clue how the SPFL works.
Yeah,
Put
because
this-
exactly the same happens in Wales, which is just stupid. Because whoever finishes in that, I think it's 12 teams in the Cymru Prem as well. Whoever finishes in 7th is always able to climb up to 4th, even though they stay at 7th, and it's almost always Cardiff Net.
Yeah. Put it this way: play 33 games, stay in the top 6. You're fine. You can fight for Europe.
Mm-hmm.
After that, for the last 5 games of the season, you're just hoping that you don't get dragged into the relegation zone in the relegation playoff, which is 11th place. Put it this way, it's just funny. And Dundee United won the championship, and Dundee United are going down. So as it stands, they're going down, which is absolutely funny. The Watford way saying yes,
Legends.
Nathan, how's your holiday?
Oh, superb.
And
Reece,
mate.
can I come in with something quickly?
That's a video on its own, First Minister.
when you go, what's up? What do you want to say?
That comment from Andrew Williams about the spookiest coincidence in football. It was actually, they both got those 2 goals against Wigan and Arsenal.
Yep.
It wasn't just Wigan, it was Arsenal as well. They scored in reverse order. Raphael scored his first 2 goals, Arsenal away, then Wigan at home. Fabio got it, Wigan away, Arsenal at home.
I mean,
It just occurred to me. I was thinking, hang on a minute.
yeah. But the sad thing is, yeah, that's very true. In terms of the split, though, this is the bit that's really horrible, right? At the moment, Motherwell, funny, they've done a Leeds 48-48, 0 goal difference, right? They're currently on 43 points, right? Motherwell could finish 3 games to go. Say they win their 3 remaining games, they will finish on 52 points, right? St Mirren could lose all 3 games. Hibs could lose all 3 games. Hearts could lose all 3 games, right? Motherwell cannot physically overtake them in the league. It does not matter what they finish on. They cannot go above them in the league. They are stuck in 7th. So you could finish 7th with 52 points. St Mirren could finish 6th with 45, and it does not matter.
Oh, that's confusing me.
That is how the split works.
It's insane. It's I don't know why if they. It's just ridiculous within the home nation.
It adds more excitement, guys. Maybe
It
we
does.
might get an extra 2 viewers of our TV rights.
They should be finishing third, Aberdeen.
It
They've
does,
got no
however,
excuse to finish third.
When you have the TV rights in Wales, say for example on S4C, where they give each team as much as a packet of crisps, and then each of the teams that have been in the Cymru Premier, I mean, there's been a list longer than my arm that have just gone bust. There isn't in Wales.
There is no
Actually, no, there is in Wales.
There is no European playoff for us, but there is for Ireland, which is funny. And it's honestly so mental.
This
It's
system
so
needs a
mental.
revamp.
Ridiculous.
I know you spoke about it last week, Reece, and I will reiterate it. Everything from split to European allocations to TV rights to everything, it needs a serious revamp.
And also, it needs to be extended by at least 6 teams. There should be 18 teams in this division to actually make it more competitive. And it should be more than 1 team getting automatically relegated. It should be 2 teams getting relegated and the playoff place. In Championship, 2 teams up, playoff
similar
position.
to the Bundesliga.
Yeah, exactly like that. It should.
Just a question. Because I'm pretty sure in SPFL, obviously, number 1 and number 2 have European places, correct?
Yes, Hearts are currently, Aberdeen are currently in the Europa Conference position.
All right, is that how it works then? So, is it Champions League 1 and 2? Or is it?
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
Is that automatic for Rangers then?
So as it stands, Celtic winning the league are automatically in the Champions League group stage for next season. Rangers are in the the Champions League qualifiers, and I expect Rangers to get to the group stage anyway. And you know what's funny? Rangers get to the Champions League group stages, right? Rangers will be a seeded team, Celtic won't be. Because Rangers have a better European coefficient over the last 4 or 5 seasons, because Rangers have actually carried Scotland in Europe for the past couple of years, which isn't actually something you can argue about.
Last season,
the system is
well,
stupid.
To be fair, I'm going to say it now. The chance right at the end that Kevin Trapp save, right at the very end was an absolute amazing save. I can't actually fault it, but also the penalty shout as well. I can't even I'm not even going to blame Ramsey as well, because Ramsey actually had the balls to stand up even though he missed it. He's the only one that actually decided, I'll stand up and do it. But at the moment, so yeah, Celtic are automatic Champions League group stage. Rangers are in the qualifiers. If Rangers lose that, Rangers will go into the Europa League playoff, and they'll do that. Aberdeen are in the Conference League.
Right.
That's not actually cherry picking. That's a fact. Like, it's a fact. If Rangers actually get into the Champions League group stage, Celtic won't be the seeded team. Rangers will. It's because of coefficient. Our coefficient was so bad until we actually managed to get 2 teams competing in Europe again. It's just, in general, our whole entire thing was fucked. I don't just blame Celtic, by the way. I blame how it's come down from the SFA. Like, the money, like, from the deal that's tied to 2029. Sky Sports don't feature enough of our matches on TV. You're supposed to feature 60 matches. We get 48.
Yeah, but surely then they've been breached contract, and the SPFL should have a brain to terminate it and then get a better deal with
they
BT.
don't let go.
And that's the problem with it. Like, at the end of the day, I just wish there was, like, going back to Wales now, I wish there was a bigger TV deal that was able to be offered, because at the moment it's just S4C.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be that way, because it's going to
Exactly.
be the only way that it'll be free on TV. And that TV deal's worth as much as a pack of crisps.
That's a fair one. Viaplay's got a lot of our stuff right now as well, but to be honest, I just want like a proper deal that actually stems all the way through the league. I mentioned it last week, and this is genuinely so funny. It was what what was that said this week? There's a former Hearts manager, right, that I will leave unnamed, but he said that if Rangers and Celtic go to the Premier League, like if they somehow leave the Scottish League and go to the Premier League, each club should give the SPFL clubs £50 million each, 100 million combined, so it can flood through.
Yes.
So it can actually flood through the Premiership. And I'm thinking, why the hell should they? Why should Rangers and Celtic, who have made that money by playing in the English leagues, etc., why should they have to give 50 million back when the clubs don't do enough anyway? And it's not their fault. It should be it's the SFA's fault, not Rangers and Celtic's fault. Rangers and Celtic are very good at marketing their clubs, so that's why they make most money. They compete in Europe regularly. It's bollocks that situation come up, and it wasn't Mark McGee. Honestly, it wasn't Mark McGee. So there's another example.
That's a really good point. And at the end of the day, they are literally the only professional club in the Cymru Premier.
Yep.
And the rest of the finances in all the other teams, like, look at the amount that plummeted down. Port Talbot Town is the biggest example. Barry Town United, obviously, being ripped out of the league.
See if I can find. I'm gonna see if I can find it.
An example there.
But I'm gonna see if I can find it for everybody actually, and you can laugh at this.
Just one quick thing from me. I actually like the. From the outside, I like the prospect of like a British Super League, having Rangers and Celtic in there, and Hearts or someone else, or Aberdeen, as well as obviously the Welsh clubs. But I know how bad it would be for the leagues, how the 2-3 main clubs maybe are ripped out of those leagues. But I just think that if you're going to
Craig Levine, by the way, said it. It was Craig Levine that said it, just let you know.
These teams shouldn't be entitled straight to the Premier League. I think they should work their way up the leagues, maybe League 1 or League 2 level, because a lot of the players in the SPFL are that kind of standard, like League 1 Championship. So I think that they should work to be in the Premier League, as opposed to straight away gone, yeah, you can go straight to Premier League.
Another factor I would like to add about this, like, so-called British Super League thing, because I've said it. No, it was a disgrace, honestly. Yeah, dark days that was. But apart from the thing I would like to, I've said it many years time before. The Carabao Cup for me needs to be reformed, and there's your opportunity to do it. But the way I would do it is to actually remove the top 6 clubs of the Premier League and balance it down. And that would get a non-top 6 club, a club that is deserving of an opportunity to get into the Europe, an opportunity to get into Europe. Because there's not enough of your Brightons, well, not so much Newcastle now, your Brightons, your Brentfords, your Villas, your Fulhams. There isn't enough of an opportunity to get those teams into Europe like we did see at the start of the 2010s. Your Birmingham's getting into Europe, your Wigan's getting into Europe. Andrew, I know I'm going to get you. You want me to mention it, but I'm going to have to mention it. Swansea getting into Europe as an example. We need more. Birmingham. We need more of those clubs to be given an opportunity to play European football and have European football be filtered around the UK or something like that. But it's just a case of the thing that has to be reformed is the Carabao Cup, because, in my opinion, it's basically the Man City Cup.
Pretty much, but that is literally what Craig Levine said, by the way.
I'm trying to find the article because I want to read this. I want to see if there's any, just for shits and gigs, I want to see if there's any reason I could defend and justify this.
The thing I would like to say about this seems very American.
I found it.
Ibrox News have it, but it's generally so funny. Like, he can actually say this. I mean, all I'm going to say is, it ain't going to happen. He's back. Like, I would love the FA Cup to be all of Britain, including Northern Ireland. That would be interesting. Not going to lie, it would be.
No, I think that makes it more complicated, because obviously you get all the lower league teams in National League and even below them in the FA Cup. I think if you're going to do that, if you're going to do an all-British Cup, I think you do it with the League Cup. I think Nathan's spot on, actually, because
I agree.
The League Cup is there almost similar to the FA Cup as a tournament, but no one takes it seriously. Now, I, for one, value it because some of the best eras of managers in the Premier League, Mourinho, Guardiola, Ferguson, their teams were built based on the League Cup being the first success, the first trophy they won. So I think it's a little bit more important than people realize, because it's a cup regardless. But I think that the FA Cup should stay as it is. But I like the idea of, I know I get it, because obviously the Welsh teams can play in the FA Cup in Swansea, Cardiff and Wrexham, but because they're in the English football pyramid. But I think that if you're going to reform anything, it's got to be the League Cup.
I think the League Cup.
I don't know, but
I think the only way they'd be able to work is if you exclude those top 6 teams. But it would be, because at the end of the day, with the reform of the Champions League that's coming, and I think it's either next season or the season after, it's going to cause more fixture congestion. So this would be the perfect time to do it.
It's the following season, because if Chelsea finish 5th next year, they'll still be in the Champions League because of their European ranking, which is disgusting anyway.
Because the way I can see it working as well, to even cut down on travel, because it's going to have to be midweek, whichever way you look at it. The only way that they would be able to do it properly is what they're doing now. I know they do north-south, but for the first 3 rounds, regionalise it. Southeast, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, Yorkshire.
That's a good take on Andrew. That's a good take on it. Here's another thing as well, is I was thinking about the League Cup in general. You said about reforming the League Cup, and I had an idea. The Viaplay Cup up here, which is basically the Scottish League Cup, that's actually done by group stages. Apart from obviously Rangers and Celtic, obviously because they compete in Europe, so they'll go into a further round. But I wouldn't mind if it was done over group phases where you've got the north, and you got the south, and then after that, top 2 or top 4, based on how you group it. Obviously, there's so many teams, but then you're split, and then you have your last 16, your quarterfinals, your semi-finals, and the final itself. I think they could do it in that way, but it's how they actually do it. Even the Chickatree Trophy is done over group phase.
It is, but the only thing is with the pizza trophy, as I call it, it doesn't really work at the end of the day.
I know.
Because it just causes fixture congestion. You're in a group of 3. It can be a little bit top heavy. You have the under 21s teams added in there as well. And then
good seeing you, Andrew. Thanks for watching.
Nice one. that guarantees at least 3 matches. For some clubs, that could be 2 matches too much.
Yeah,
And I think it does
I
disadvantage
agree.
things a little bit too much. But there's so many scenarios with the League Cup that has to be changed. But the problem that we have is the way that it gets reformed and the options that it does. But at the end of the day, it has to be reformed. Because it's not sustainable as the way it's going.
You can definitely join the next one, John. I think just because we've went 2 hours, we are probably going to wrap up there shortly. But I just wanted to get one last question for everybody, just because obviously we've been on for quite a while. So just want to get one last question, then we'll wrap up, lads. Champions League, what we think of the second legs? I'm doing a watch along for the Milan second leg tomorrow, so that's going to be, I'm hopefully not brutal, but it goes in my favour tomorrow. But John, you can definitely join the next one, not a problem. Every Monday, 7:30. You can definitely join that. It's not on my channel as well, so it's only my channel. We're doing it as a triple host tonight. We can certainly do that. JJ's, I swear, League 1, League 2 have more games than Championship. I think
they do, because the Pizza Cup, because they have Carabao Cup, FA Cup, and bearing in mind that's first round FA Cup as well.
Bang on, Rabbit.
So at the end of the day, yeah, absolutely, Rabbit. Solid thing.
You can certainly ask the question in the live chat, though.
Yeah.
Only because we are about to wrap up as well, because obviously we do all have circumstances. But I definitely can say I will let people on the next stream. Like, obviously I will do that. But I was going to ask second legs, what are we thinking for the Champions League? What are we thinking? And Europe as well, actually. We'll go with the Europa League and the Conference League as well. What are we thinking?
Of course. So we've got to start with the big elephant in the room, AC Milan. What an absolute shambles. I mean, the man right there.
Thanks.
You've said it all, haven't you? And at the end of the day, fair play to the Milan players for going up to the ultras and hearing it with how shambolic that they have been recently. You know your manager's going at the end of the season. He's been completely diabolical towards the end. Pioli has to go, but I think Milan have got it.
I think it's going
into
them.
Milan, but I think it'll be tighter. I think they'll be more up for it. But I am going for 1-0, which means it'll be 3-0 on aggregate.
The way it's going, it's looking like it. Their start was very suspicious, though. The 2 goals very early on, like that's not like Inter Milan at all to start a game like that, which caught me off guard. But then again, though,
performance-enhancing drugs. I said it to you last week, Chris. That was such a crazy, fast, powerful start. No one was expecting it.
Yeah, I actually do question it realistically. But when you think about it, like I'm hoping that the second leg is definitely better, but it's more or less how both teams come into it. I think if Leao is available, then Milan do have a chance. If he's not available, then it's going to be a long night. Second leg though at the Etihad.
I'm worried because
I actually don't know.
I'm worried because I said to people on my end last week that Real Madrid need to win at the Bernabeu. Granted, I think Real Madrid could do the job, but I think City at home, Champions League semi-final, I can see them. We saw it 2 seasons ago when PSG came in the second leg. City were pulling off some amazing defensive displays, like some just body on the line, last-ditch blocks. I worry that Real Madrid's Champions League heritage won't be enough because they lost that game last season. Now, granted, it was the first leg, and I think teams take it easier in the first leg as opposed to the second leg.
They also got booed heavy as well.
They did. Another thing I would like to add, however, is with Real Madrid in particular, not Real Madrid, sorry, Man City. We've seen it in the last few years. Monaco was the main one. Complacency going into the second leg. There's always this thing where Man City going with way too overconfidence. They get Tottenham, another one, ripped to shreds in the final third and just completely lose it. with too much, and it always seems to be at home as well. So at the end of the day, is that going to be a factor with there? Is Real Madrid going to turn up? But
I think there's two things with that.
I think it changes this time.
There's two things with that. I think firstly, Pep's teams have shown over the years that they capitulate very quickly.
Yes.
So, like last season, Real Madrid got that one goal. Suddenly, out of nowhere, the second one came quickly. So there's an element of you get 2 quick-fire goals against Manchester City, the tie changes. Even if City were 1-0 up for the majority of the game, 2 goals changes the whole dynamic very quickly. And I think the other thing is Pep has overthinking in him, and I think he's trying his very best not to. But I can see him doing something. I don't think he'll do it, but Pep has that about him where he'll be like, I want to knock out Real Madrid, but I want to do it in a certain way. But then I think he's not dumb. I don't think he's dumb enough to do that. I think he will sit there and think, this is Real Madrid in the Champions League. Like, I'm not going to toy too much. So if Real Madrid come out and get a couple of quick-fire goals, it will really hang in the balance. Did Camavinga go off with an injury at the weekend? I think I read somewhere that happened. So I worry about Real Madrid's squad selection for the upcoming game.
Well, Militao's available.
It'll be very interesting to see how they're set up. I've seen obviously the leaks about a 4-4-2. But it depends who you put in that midfield. You know, last week they started with Kroos as almost like a holding midfielder. And I think for the way they were playing, almost like they were happy to let City have the ball. Granted, Modric and Kroos will do their bit, as well as Camavinga at left back and Valverde. But there's not enough. It was almost like there wasn't enough. You think of a Casemiro in that kind of midfield. I think to play that way, you need that kind of player, as opposed to like Toni Kroos would slot nicely in City's hot midfield where Rodri plays. I don't think it would be the same if he went into a team that would like break up play almost. Granted, it's Real Madrid and it's almost like a team that is built on individual brilliance. But if Camavinga's unavailable, you look at how they set up in defence. They've had a left back problem all year. I'd personally look to play Alaba at left back because he's played there during his career and play Militao with Rudiger. But do you know what I mean? Alaba, I don't think has played at left back that often since he's been at Real Madrid, let alone at his time at Bayern Munich.
I think that was the last time he played
the latter end of his Bayern Munich days. I think you saw a partnership. He was partnering a centre back, and then you'd see Lucas Hernandez or Alphonso Davies as left back. So this setup will be very, very interesting. And also, if it's a 4-4-2, who plays up front? I don't know how they'll work that.
Yeah.
Vinicius, I'd say Vinicius maybe plays off Benzema. I don't know, but
then I think we'd see a Rodrigo on left wing and Valverde right wing.
On you
go. Surely Vinicius would go left mid and then pass it through to Benzema on the left hand side.
It's possible. It's possible.
I doubt he would play a striker with Benzema, as obviously. I mean, he has got the pace, obviously. That's the most important thing. But then you've got to look at City's defensive backline, such as Diaz. They could put. I'm pretty. Stones is out, is he? Or is Stones fit?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So obviously, if they've got Ruben Diaz, him on his own is going to be quite difficult for Vinicius just to get around. So
that's true.
I think in attack it will be a 4-2-4 almost. Then I think the wings, you'll see Valverde. I think on one of the wings because he's played a lot of this season as a right winger. I think the same last season as well. So it could be a case that it could be a 4-2-4 if anything, and Valverde helps defend from the front. But it'll be, like I said, it'll be very interesting to see what happens with the lineup and how Real Madrid approach this, because they will have their moments, I think. But Manchester City look like a different beast right now, and I was hoping that the players coming out last week and going revenge and score to settle and all that. I was hoping it was a case of he said it. he said the thing. Writing's on the wall now.
It is. It is.
I
And
really
we'll
hope so,
definitely
but
see.
I'm very worried.
Yeah,
I think he's
absolutely.
taken. Go on, Reece.
I was just going to say, I was actually just about to wrap up there, but like,
All right, get him in.
but no, it was first of all, great stream, lads.
Awesome.
We are going to wrap it. We are going to wrap up there. To everyone that's watched, thank you. Please also make sure that Josh is still live until I hit end broadcast. So give his channel a like as well. But to everyone that's been on tonight, and everyone that's watched, and everyone that's engaged in the comments throughout the whole show, thank you very much. Have a good night, guys, and we'll see you all next time for another show. But thanks all for watching.